How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have 125 with us tonight. You can say his name and what he does in the band.
Hey guys, my name is Kyle Kendall. I am the only member of 125. It's actually my solo project.
Woo!
And I also play guitar and sing for a metalcore band called Our Sorrows.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'll have to check that out
Yeah.
too. I didn't even know that. Now learning
Yeah.
so much about Kyle
It's
right
it's
in the
all it's
spot.
all making sense.
It's
It's
all
all making
clicking.
sense. Yeah.
I want to give a shout outs to all the homies. I can't name all of them, and I don't also want to look like a dummy if I don't name them all, but I'm pretty sure it was Nikki, and I also think it was Jordan were the two, and then I think Pat also tripled up on that.
Yep.
So it was just a
Yep.
dog pile, you know? So I appreciate all the love. Anytime I can give the homies a shout. Uh, I know Jordan plays for Picturesque, been homies with him for eons. Nikki plays for Renovare, shout outs, and Pat is just
Yep.
the goat of like interviews, you know. So
Yeah.
what true company, you know.
See, that was my thing. The most disappointing thing for me is Our Sorrows. We did a tour with Picturesque and Alisana, and
Oh,
like 2
sick.
years ago now. And the most disappointing thing was like, and I this is gonna sound really terrible. It's gonna sound like I'm very conceited, and I don't mean it like this. But
Sure,
it's like
yeah,
generally like my band is like relatively attractive dudes. And
I
then
would agree.
Picturesque had the audacity to show up, and Jordan had the audacity to show up and be as beautiful as he is.
That's true.
Because
They're
that
also
band is
hot.
so pretty. That band is so pretty. Which Alisana, like, they're all fucking pretty
They're
too. And
all
it's like,
yeah.
man,
It's a
like,
hot show.
oh yeah, and we toured Vampires Everywhere, so they're fucking pretty. And it's like, this is some bullshit, man. But
So many hot
it is what
people.
it is. But
Were
that was
you?
like two
Was
years
that the?
ago.
Oh,
That was a
two
hot
years ago.
tour.
Okay. I
Yeah,
was gonna
yeah,
say if it was
yeah.
recent, I went to go see Alisana and Vampires Everywhere recently with Limbs, which is another
Mm,
shout outs to Limbs. Those are my
mm,
homies. I love those guys. But
hell yeah.
Kyle, thank you for coming on. I did have an opportunity to listen to a couple of your songs. I'll also leave a link down below. Go give Kyle all the love, all the follows. Links down below, please. It would be very sick if you did that. But I don't know too much about just your groups in general, Our Sorrows and 125. So
Mm,
I kind of went down the rabbit hole of 125 because I knew we were primarily going to be talking about that. But
sure.
I want to know how you got started. Like, what was kind of your ethos on like
Woo.
being a musician? Spare as much time as you want.
Yeah.
I don't do anything else for fun except for this, so you can take up all the time you want. You know?
Well, unlike you, I have some League of Legends to play after this, so I'm
Hell
gonna have to make
yeah,
it quick.
let's
No,
go.
no,
I love it.
uh, but like so music star and 125 star will go the whole route.
Do it up.
So we talked a little bit off camera, but I grew up as a bit of a bubble boy.
Yes, you did.
I grew up in like a little sheltered life, and my dad was big on Skid Row and Motley Crue, Judas
Mm.
Priest, Iron Maiden, Megadeth, and like I grew up in that house, and so, but I wasn't allowed to go to concerts. I wasn't allowed to like go to shows or anything, right? So I was stuck in my house listening to
Oh.
that. And so, guys, I'm old, right? So I'm 36 next month, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm in like the Kazaa, Napster, like that times of things, right? And
Oh,
I've never done
nice.
anything illegal, Lars. But hypothetically, somebody in my household tried, and we don't know who. And
Yeah,
when we find out,
verdict's not
we're
out.
going to get
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
got
we're
him.
gonna get him
We
for
got
you.
he's got a
Uh,
PI on it. Yeah, I got
yeah,
you.
that's right. Yeah, you get it. But somebody in my house tried to find. I think this is like when Mudvayne. It's like when
Ooh.
Dig came out. It was around when Dig came out,
Whew.
and somebody in my house, when we're not gonna
Yeah,
name names,
yeah,
um,
non-disclosed. Yeah, I got you.
tried to download. I want to say it was Dig from Mudvayne, and ended up downloading Children of Bodom.
Oh.
And then that happened. And so now I'm listening to Children of Bodom, Arch Enemy, Dark Tranquility, In
Oh.
Flames. And the most wild thing, because it's this whole European metal, like death metal thing.
Yeah.
So now I'm hooked. I'm hooked on this. And for anybody that's getting excited about my project, it is not death metal. Sorry.
I can confirm.
We're gonna
Yes, it's
get there.
not.
We're gonna get there. So then I end up somehow having Stradivarius and Sonata
Mm.
Arctica and Nightwish, which is my favorite band of all time.
Shout outs.
And so I end up like with like these like European hammerfall. Like,
Ooh. Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
so I end up down this like power metal, symphonic metal route,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and yeah, like it was about that time that I started playing guitar, and I had a guitar when I was 16, but I didn't play it.
I got you. I got you.
I was playing Final Fantasy 11. I'm being honest
Hell
with
yeah.
everybody. I told everybody I was playing guitar. Mom, Dad, if you're watching this, I'm really sorry. I wasn't playing guitar. I was playing Final Fantasy 11, and
Priorities, though. I
that's
respect
like
that. Yeah. As a
you get it,
gamer
you get it.
myself, I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you get it, you
I
get
get
it.
it. Yeah.
And 11's a grind, man. So I couldn't pick up the guitar. I didn't
Woo!
have time. I didn't
Yeah.
have time.
You're too busy
And
playing Final Fantasy 11. I got you. Respect, you
you
know?
get it. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
do.
So yeah, so I end up, and this is crazy now that I'm like, I haven't thought about this in a long time. So I end up going to like I'm like sophomore year or like junior year, and this is like my first year in school without my
Mhm.
brother there. And
Ooh.
so we talked off cam. I think this was off cam, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I was like at a point of like socialization where I didn't have any because I was a bubble boy that I kind of had to have like a mediator to know how to have conversations with
Yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah.
now I didn't have my brother there.
So
And
you
so
were like
now
on your own. You're like, I
I
gotta
had
find
to,
friends.
yeah, yeah. And I had to like talk to people. And I remember I show up in my computer class. It's like my first period. First period. There it is.
Yeah, you got it.
Um, it took me some time, but
It's all
we
right.
managed.
I was picking up what you were
Um,
putting down. You know, I got you
yeah,
already,
I,
Kyle.
we're on the same wavelength. That's
Yes,
good.
we are.
I have one brain cell, so I really hope you're carrying
I'm
this.
trying. I'm trying. I'll put the team
Okay.
on the back,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. If you would, I'd greatly appreciate it. And I remember I get there, and one of these people that I knew go, "Oh, well, you like rock music, or like you like music. You should talk to." And I forget the kid's name. You
Oh,
should talk to this guy.
yeah.
And I'm so sorry, guy.
Whoever you are.
And
Yeah.
yeah, whoever you
Mysterious
are.
figure. Yeah.
Yeah, mysterious figure. And I start talking to him about all the bands I just listed, right? And he deadpan stares at me and he goes, "Yeah, I don't really listen to that. You should talk to Colin." And I go, "Who's Colin?" And he goes, "That's Colin." And he points at this dude. And long-haired little
Oh,
guy,
nice. Yeah.
you know, the standard. And I end up getting introduced to Colin, and I make the mistake of saying I play guitar. And what I didn't know about Colin is that he played guitar and he was a guitar grimoire guy. And I mean a guitar grimoire guy.
Woo!
He so and keep in mind, so this is such an interesting thing to talk about because like for especially for everybody like growing up in the music scene and stuff like that, for them it's like it's the scene and that's how they're kind of
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
up
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I was 17 years old. Now I'm piecing it all together. I was 17 when I started music.
There you go.
Because I was in a bubble. And so I listened to all these bands and I had all these Trivium, like was in Orlando,
Oh.
like right by me. And like you know what I mean? Like the Autumn Offering at the time.
Oh my
Which,
God. Oh.
yeah. So they were like right by me, but I had no idea because I was this little bubble sheltered boy. So I'm going home and I'm listening to these things, not knowing that like I could go see this thing. Like it was just so foreign of an object.
You must have been
And
neighbors with like Matt Heafy. Like, there's no way. You would have just walked
like,
out and he's just like just shredding.
like
and you're
that
like,
would have
oh,
that
I'll
would
go
have been
with
the
guys.
only way. That would have been the only way that I would have known that that was real. Like you could be in a band, like you can go see bands, right? And so, so Colin played bass for this. And I remember this very clearly. The band that like the kind of the local band that got away kind of thing was there was a band called In Chaos. That's the band that he was in. It was a Christian progressive metal band.
Hmm.
They're recorded by Andrew Wade, who
Ooh.
yeah. Yeah, so they're recorded by
Ooh.
Andrew Wade. And I'm sitting in this computer class and he's showing me the EP that they recorded with Andrew. And I hear his like their singer's name is Alex. I hear him scream. And he goes, "This kid's 15 years old." I said, "No, he's not." And it's just this guttural, gross, like that's like
Yeah.
just disgustingly good band. And then Colin comes over to my house and proceeds to actually play guitar. And I went, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing." And he basically like kind of he gave me some like exercises to start, and I actually started playing guitar from like Colin kind of teaching me and running me
Shout
through.
outs to Colin.
And shout out to Colin Olson, man. He's a
Woo.
king. Like he's a science teacher now, I think.
Oh
So
my God, that's
yeah, I don't
awesome.
know, man.
That's so rad.
But yeah. But yeah, so like I'll always be grateful to him for that. So like that's what like started me, and I started playing guitar, and I was in this like just a series of really bad progressive death metal bands because the fun fact about trying to we're gonna go here actually. I'm really bad at learning songs just in general
Fair enough.
because
Yeah.
I have ADHD. So what
I kind
happens
of could
is
tell. Yeah. I have a lot of
right.
friends that have ADHD and I could
I'm
tell. I could
I've
tell right out the gate. I don't want to say it cuz I'm not going to be that guy that says it, but like in my head I was like he definitely has ADHD. There's no
oh
way he
yeah
doesn't.
yeah
Because the two
yeah
people
I
I do my other podcast with also both have ADHD. So I could tell off the rip like people
that
that
has
in
to be
my
a
life.
blast.
It is insane. Yeah. It's so like
Yeah,
it's
does anything get done?
I don't want to sound like I'm the
How much
savior
weight are
here.
you carrying? Be honest. Are
There's a
you
pretty decent amount of weight that I carry. Though I
listen?
will
If
say I kind of sit at the back seat of doing it because it's like kind of my baby, but not really. This one is like audio addiction is my baby. You know, like I
sure,
would die on this hill for my baby, you know, where I
sure,
feel like
sure.
the podcast that I do with my friends, like that's nice. If it goes well, great. Like you should just come on, Kyle. You should just come on that podcast. We'll have you
Go
on
ahead.
that, and then
The-
you guys it'll be the three ADHD guys versus.
I
I'll be
will
like
gladly
this, standing
accept. We
here,
can
you know.
listen. If you want the Three Musketeers, I'm
Woo!
down to. I'll pick one. I'll pick whichever one's not picked already. You know what I'm
All
saying?
right,
I'm easy.
Daryl, Jared,
Yeah,
we're gonna have
yeah.
Kyle on just so
Let's
you're
go.
aware. He's coming on. Yeah,
Perfect, perfect. I'm all about it.
you'll fit right
Um,
in.
Perfect. So so with the ADHD thing, I'm not good at learning songs because like especially I say especially that's not fair. But like I would go to like learn these songs and like take I remember I was listening to like Rhapsody at the time. And I remember they
Oh,
had that song Dawn of Victory. And I go to learn Dawn of Victory and by the time it loops, I'm like, I
you
get it.
forgot the first part. Oh,
Like, well,
okay.
no, well, not like I get it, but it's like, yeah, okay, it's just this thing over and over again, and then it does the other parts, and you go, cool, I'm gonna do that. But like, what would eventually start happening for me is like I would go to learn these songs, and I'd get halfway through, and I'd go, it'd be really cool if they did this instead.
Oh,
Oh,
so
but if
you
I did
would
that,
so you would
if I
alter
did
it.
that, then I have to do that. Oh, but if I do that, then that'll actually okay. If I do this, and then I don't do that, and then I find myself writing a completely different song.
Pretty much, yeah.
And so basically, and so what they don't tell you is when you're not as good as Luca Turilli on guitar, and you try to write a non-Rhapsody song, you're not writing a good song. So I was in a series of really bad metal bands, is what I'm getting at.
That's all right.
Um,
It's
you
all the
know,
roads that lead you to where you're at. You know,
that's
I
right.
got
That's
you.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. So so my journey was that like Colin teaching me guitar, me having ADHD, and then eventually it benefits me because like um you know what happened is I ended up getting just heavily ingrained in this like the Christian metalcore scene of like the '06 to
Yep.
'09, right?
I'm
So
familiar with that.
as I lay dying, the showdown,
Ooh.
haste the day is the
Oh,
best. Listen, I'm just gonna say this right now, and I will challenge any of your viewers on this one. Haste the Day is the best metalcore band from that era, and it's not even close. It's not even close. The era of
I
Burning Bridges, When
yeah.
Everything Falls,
Uh,
and even what was the third one? The one with the crow, the like
I'll look it up.
that one.
Oh, I'll look it up. I got you.
Pressure Pressure the Hinges is on it. Um,
I'm looking it for you.
good. Please do. What you got? What's the name of it?
I'm looking. Let me see.
Okay.
I'll go through all the albums. So it's 2004 is Burning Bridges.
Yes.
2005. Wow, that is quite a turnaround for albums. 2005, When Everything Falls. 2007 was Pressure the
Pressure the
Hinges.
Hinges. Yes.
2008
So
Dreamer. Obviously, when they go on.
so yeah. So through there. So that band. If you go back to that era, because like I already know people are going to challenge me, they're going to say "Kill Switch Engage," and let's go. I'm ready to debate. I'm ready to debate anybody in the comments on that one. Um, Howard and Brennan, and maybe you guys are nerdier than I am, and you have like a wider palette in there that like I'm just missing somebody. But Brennan from Haste the Day was the one, him and Howard really of like those metalcore singers that could actually sing. that could actually sing, and I would
I'll give
actually
you the
say that
kudos on that. Yeah,
I
100%.
I would actually say that Brennan is like the best singer of that time. He's so good. And
That's a
like
big take. I like it though. I
yes,
like it. You're
yeah,
saying it with
I'm here.
conviction.
I'm here. I'm here for it.
I,
So I got ingrained in that, right? I got ingrained in that metalcore debate, like that metalcore time, and so like, and I think like yeah, and like the Ghost Inside's going on at that time and stuff,
yeah. Oh my god.
and yeah, and so I fell in love with metalcore because it was a. This is gonna sound really fucked up now that I say it out loud, but it's really true. It was
I'll hear you
easier
out.
to play. It was easier to play.
That's fair.
And so,
I'll give
like,
you
I'm
that. Yeah.
trying to play Opeth. I'm trying to play Dark Tranquility. I'm trying to play Children of Bodom. I'm trying to play In Flames. And I'm trying to, like, learn these songs. And then I find out about metalcore and I go, so it's, like, kind of those riffs, but, like, in an easier form that's,
And
like, a
also
bit
chugging.
groovier.
Yeah.
And,
Just
like, in the
redone.
chug, let's go. And
Yeah.
so then, like, and it was easier to write because of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, like, that's at that time. Like, let's specify
Sure.
that
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
like what's out now?
It's
There's some really disgusting stuff out now that I have to
oh
go.
yeah.
That, and I can dive into some of that here in a minute too.
Sure.
But
Absolutely.
so through all that, I end up like in some like a couple metalcore bands. I was in the old 2000. Yeah, what I was a senior in high school. So 2008 to 2008, I was in an electronic metalcore band. I was in that era of things, and
Okay.
we
Did you
did
guys
that. It
ever
was a band
tour
called
the Northeast area by chance?
just east. Actually, we did go to New York. We did go to New York, New Jersey. It was called Mayday Cried the Captain. We
Okay. I'm just
recorded
trying to think.
with Cameron Mizell at Chango Studios.
Oh, Cameron. I love Cameron.
Like
Shout
way back,
outs.
yeah,
Woo!
dude. Cameron's a hell of a producer.
Oh, yes, he is.
Like he made me sound like I could actually sing at that time, and I could not. Dude, at that time of my life, I was yelling notes at a camera, and Cameron Mizell said, "You're a singer now, baby."
Shift, yeah. Yeah. He's
So
doing like
like
Rain Man, like just like figure. He's like,
basically, I'm like, oh, thankfully somebody can fix this. But no, so I did that, and then I had this whole thing of, I mean, I'm as transparent as they come. So what happened was we went from playing these shows throughout like the East Coast where I remember the response, and this is so we were located in Ocala, and this is
ooh,
right at
okay.
the time of A Day to Remember
I was
dropping
gonna
for
say,
those who have heart.
yeah.
So A Day to Remember drops
Ooh.
for those who have heart, and um, like they're just taking like that was the start of them just really going
Yeah.
like, hey, by the way, we're who you're gonna be listening to for the rest of your fucking life, right? like
Pretty
it was
much.
that.
Yeah.
So so like my band is like kind of coming into Ocala as A Day to Remember. I don't want to say is leaving it, but they're like getting bigger
They're
than it,
taking off. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like so there was this kind of spot to fill in that area, and like and we didn't know that, but it's just kind of where we ended up. And I remember us doing these songs, and it went from it was kind of a heartbreaking moment for me in the sense of young artist entitlement,
Sure.
where
Yeah.
we went from playing shows and people going, "I've never heard anything like you guys." And in reality, I knew Enter Shikari existed. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't trying to write, but we weren't writing Enter Shikari, but I knew they existed. I was like, "There's a world for this where it's not that, but it's
But
something
it's
different."
close. Yeah. It's like
Yeah, and
nth degrees. I got you. Yeah.
yeah, and then maybe a year or 2 years in, Attack happened. And it went from people saying, "I've never heard anything like you guys," to, "Oh, you guys sound like Attack." And I said, "Who?" And then I listened and I went, "Fuck, they do that so much better than us. Fuck, they do that
Oh.
so much better than us." And then asking Alexandria Hampton, I said,
Oh.
"God damn it. They do that so much better than us."
That
But there
was the
was
era,
this
though.
like,
That was the era of that.
right. But for me, there was like this level of young artist entitlement where I needed to be doing something different. I needed to be
Sure.
doing something
Yeah.
unique. And if these bands were already doing it, then we got to do something different.
You
And
got to
like
pivot. Yeah.
my band wasn't for it. And then we ended up going our separate ways. So music for me was this heartbreaking thing post that. where I was like, man, I don't even want to do it. And so I took a long break from probably what, 2012? I say a long break. Yes, I guess it's 5. Well, there's some stuff in between, and I'm not going to worry about all that because that's a whole different deal. We talked about on the other podcast.
Yeah.
How about
Well,
that?
yeah, there you go. I love it.
Yeah. So long break, and then my buddy Chris, I end up meeting this guy at a Magic the Gathering, like,
Oh,
what's it called?
yes.
Two-headed giant? I think two-headed giant or
Let's
double-headed dragon,
go.
whatever it's called. And it's at a tournament, and he's like, and like we're in the same friend group, but we'd never met. And well, we thought we'd never met, and so we end up in this, and our buddies, our mutual friends that knew each other, they paired off. So now me and him are stuck with each other. It's like, hey, guy.
Hey, you.
And so
Yeah,
and so we end up playing Magic the Gathering together, playing D&D together, like playing League together, playing Counter-Strike together, all these different things. And then finally one day Chris goes, hey man, do you want to do like a music review channel? And I was like, sure, why not? And we did. We were on Twitch for a minute, right? And then and this is gonna be like kind of the conceited moment where it's like as we're reviewing, and this is 2017.
Oh man, you started around the time I did. Holy
Yeah.
shit! Wow.
So it's around 2017, and so we're like listening to a lot of like the upcoming like metalcore, like what was going
yeah.
on,
Oh my
like in
god.
the realm of what we were doing.
Whew.
And like we kind of looked at each other and went, we can do that. It's like we can
That's
do
fair.
that, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
And so then we started like writing like the first Our Sorrows album, and we ended up going to the audio compound. So like Andy Karpovic, who's the producer for Magnolia Park and 408.
Ooh, nice. Yeah.
So and so like we ended up going to Andy and Andrew Wade and start recording with them, and then like we do our album, we do our thing, and we're just kind of like, trucking through and just doing our best. And while I'm doing this, and I'm fully transparent about like, especially when it comes to crediting stuff, where it's like, funnily enough, like I'm the guitar player for our band. Chris will write the majority of the music. And what's really cool about it is I write the lyrics. So what'll happen is if I'm writing lyrics and vocal melodies, and I'm writing vocal syncopations, and he's writing music. So then when he gives me the music, I have to be a fan of it and go, yo, this is really cool. And then when I give him the lyrics and the vocal melodies, he has to be.
He has to say it's cool. Yeah, he has to think it's cool as well.
So he has to think it's cool and there's times where we both go back and forth on stuff where it's like, he'll play something and I'll go, I don't like that.
I'm not feeling
something
it.
Different.
Yeah.
And vice versa. He'll go, I don't really like this. And then we work through it. And so it's like kind of this beautiful thing. But as we're doing this, there's this like little tick like in the back of my mind where I'm going, yeah, but like symphonic metal, like Scandinavian, Nordic, like European.
You have
metal.
it already planned out in your head.
It's in there. It's in my heart. You know what I mean? Like, not that my stuff is that, but I guess like for context, because I'm trying to give context. That's what this whole story's for.
Sure, it's all good.
For context, after Mayday split up, I moved to like LA adjacent. So I moved to Garden Grove to do songwriting. A friend of mine told me, I love you. I'm not going to say your name. I love you. I don't blame you. But it was a musician moment. It was, we're moving to LA to write for Universal Artists. And I said, I'm all in, baby. Let's go. And where I ended up was Garden Grove, California, not writing for Universal Artists. And I love him, but like that was kind of the situation. I will not say his name, but he is like one of my best friends to this day. It was just one of those. It was a musician moment. It was the overhype, oversell.
Yeah.
But what it did for me was I was in a house full of rappers and producers. Like, there was 12 of us living in a 2-story house.
Whew.
And and so I got to wake up and just be around like hip hop and pop and all this stuff. So what it gave me was kind of this love and appreciation for pop music and pop rock and all this stuff. So if I could coin myself, and like the hardest part, literally, I just had a text message before I got on here where I was trying to explain to somebody. They were like, "Well, what are the hashtags that you use?" And I'm like, "I don't fucking know because I don't know what I sound like." I'm like, "I don't know what 125 is because if I tell you, I'm like, hey, it's like inspired by like European death metal, but it's pop songs that are more hard rock than anything. They're not progressive.
They're
They're
not,
like
no.
they're just very structured." But then I've had friends of mine that listen to the same shit that I do and grew up on, where they're like, it's like you took the good parts of progressive metal and progressive rock, and there's no like 8.5 minute long build up for the good part. And I'm like, that's the coolest thing you could say to me. Like, but it's also a structured song. A B,
AB, yeah, yeah,
CB, like yeah,
CB,
yeah.
yeah.
So like, so it's just that kind of that deal. And so yeah, that's the context of like at some point I was like, man, but I gotta get this out of me.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
gotta get this stuff out. And then um the context of how 125 happened was and I've talked about this there I've talked about this on other shows too,
yeah.
which
Hmm.
it was before the things came out, and so I was a lot more hopeful and trying to figure stuff up. But like what ended up happening, you'll see there was like a for 125 there was a delay. There was like 3 songs back to back, and there was like a 5 month gap. And basically what happened was even that first song, the plan from the beginning was always to do an animated series.
Ooh, okay.
So our Starros was lucky enough to work with a director called Brian Bishop. His name's Brian Bishop, in Orlando, and he's a phenom. Like anybody that is not familiar with him, because he's like he's he's doing his best to crush it and stuff like that. He's fucking amazing. And as far as like video directors go, like I mean, like he had full on like when we had actors and stuff. Hey, 15 minutes for this scene. 15 like boom in 30 minutes you should be in makeup, you should be getting ready. Like he's like
He's on point.
boom
He's
boom boom
ready.
boom,
He's like, go,
just
go, go,
as
go,
good as
go.
it
Yeah.
gets. And then even when we were doing like the script for stuff, because it's a music video so there's no scripting, he's like sitting down with these guys, these actors, and he's like, we need this guy, we need you to do this, we need you to do this. And one of our songs, it's called Our Sorrows, it's called Anima. The actor for that was actually in Stranger Things, on one of the last seasons.
What?
Yeah, his name's
Shout
Clayton.
out.
Yeah. What's his name? Clayton Royal. Clayton Royal Johnson. Yeah, he was in Stranger
Shout
Things. He
outs.
was
Clayton.
somebody. Yeah, I forgot. But in
Sorry.
any case, Brian's awesome, and he helped me. Like we started like talking about, well, let's come up with like kind of a screenplay for this series, this animated series. So like all I wanted to do was like the concept was each song is an episode.
Oh,
So the
okay.
songs that are 3.5 minutes, 2 minutes 54 seconds, it was like mapped out like an episode, like a concept. It's a concept album, which we can dive into that.
Yeah.
That how I write concept albums too. But like, so it's this concept album where it's like it was just gonna be like an animated series, and then of course, what they don't tell you about animated series is those fuckers cost about $30,000 if you want to do 8 songs.
Yeah. Oh my
Um,
God.
so that didn't happen. This may surprise you, but it didn't happen. So I was kind of like really like heartbroken because it was that artist moment of like, how much am I willing to compromise?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This thing that is like my solo project, where it's like in Our Sorrows, there's no qualms with with compromise because it's a 4 piece band, it's a 2 man writing team, and it's me and Chris going, hey, we both want to make the best decision for us. It's Cameron and Austin pitching in like on their side of things. So when it comes to compromise, there's a really easy way to do it. But my solo stuff is supposed to be this. I don't want to compromise. I
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah,
want
yeah.
to write my thing and I want to portray it the way that I want it. And whether people like it or not, who gives a shit? Because this is my vision.
Yeah, I was gonna
And then I
say that.
see
Yeah.
a $30,000 price tag and I go, my vision is a little too expensive. So we gotta find a way around that. And so I started those first 2 music videos. They
Hmm.
look a bit weird, I'm sure, because I went into Unity or Unreal Engine in
Unreal
Unreal
Engine. Yeah,
Engine,
yeah,
and I tried to kind of do like a diorama esque thing, and I released them and did it because it was like a thing of like I put in all this work. I'm already kind of in this compromising
yeah.
boat. I might as well
Put him out.
do it. But then after I did those 2, I was like, this isn't even close to what I want. This
Aw.
isn't the thing. And so I was kind of like, it took me some time. So the third song was just like a lyric video. And shout out to Victor and my brother Chris for actually putting that together for me. They did a lyric video for me, and then it was just that long gap of time where I was like, well, what the fuck do I do with this? Because I can't come up with $30,000.
That's a lot of money, yeah.
It's a lot of money. So then finally I just said, you know what, man? I guess it's time to like do it like a standard project. And then I was battling this aspect of, I was battling the concept of anonymity with 125.
Okay.
So I was gonna go that route, and then I actually had a very close friend of mine who shot my music video for Goodbye.
Shout outs.
Phil Reardon. And I love Philip so much because he's like, I'm confused by the anonymous thing. Talk to me. And I said, well, and this is a thing that I feel, but it's one of those like, I'm a self-reflector, you know. So
I
from
feel,
self-reflection, and from a few conversations with different friends of mine, there's a level of projection in this take, but I can't say it's not how I feel about things.
Sure,
And
yeah.
I preface that to say it's like it's kind of a harsh. It's gonna sound like a harsh take, but it is what it is. Where there's a level of wanting to be a celebrity in artists and in musicians that I think is gross. And
I got
like
you.
this is kind of
Okay,
this is kind of
I'm
where the
feeling you out.
projection.
I'm feeling you
This is
out.
kind of where the
Okay.
projection thing comes, right?
Okay.
To where there's this level of to be above that I
Yeah,
just think
okay.
is really gross, and I don't care for that. I don't like that, and I've been around musicians like that, and I've been around artists like that, and I've been around people like that, and it's just I don't like that. And so I started kind of putting this projection on it where I went, well, like if I'm the center of attention and I'm trying to be that person, I'm gross. I'm that.
Sure.
And
Okay, yeah.
you
It's
know,
the
so I was kind of like,
correlation.
and so I was like, well, I don't want to be a hypocrite, and I'd be a hypocrite to do that. And then in the most hypocritical way, Philip so dearly put it. He goes, I'm confused by the anonymous thing. What's up? And I was like, and I explained that to him. He goes,
Yeah.
okay, that's fair. He goes, but let me ask you a question. If it does well, do you want people to know who did it? And I said, motherfucker. If that isn't the most hypocritical thing, because yeah, of course, like as an
Yeah.
artist, as
You
someone who
worked
creates
hard
it, you
for
want
it.
people to know.
Yeah, I got
So
you.
that came through, and then finally, once we did that, and once we went through that whole deal, he shot the video for me. He absolutely crushed it. I am
Yeah,
so
it's
thankful
great.
for him, and yeah, so that's where we're at now. So that's
I
my
love it. Thank you for
novella.
sparing no expense on the details. I love it. I think for me it's like, especially like the early on stuff, I can draw a lot of parallels as we talked off camera, but like I grew up very sheltered and like grew up religious, so like my taste in music was like the Christian metalcore bands like ABR, Underoath, Devil Wears Prada, like all that sort of stuff. And
Yep.
I was like, Mom, Dad, but they're screaming about Jesus, you know? That's it. That's what they're doing, right? And they're like,
You and me
do you
both.
understand what they're saying? I can't believe blah 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 blah. And shout outs to my parents for dealing with all that stuff. Um, but it's crazy how those types of things like influence you and how like it integrates like into your mindset where other people are like, oh, I'm just as fucking weird as all these other people that go to shows, right? And then like you're with a bunch of like weird people, and that's great. Like I love the scene. Like I grew up in the scene. I still go to a lot of shows, obviously. And largely the reason why I started this channel was because like music meant a lot to me personally, and I wanted to be able to share my like love and admiration for bands that are like in my backyard that are making shit to like big bands that I love and I'd love to be able to interview because they've meant a lot to me personally. So it's this cool like juxtaposition of life where I like want to be able to help out bands that are small that I know have like some insane amount of talent and just obviously don't have the network to get out to more people. But then at the same point, it's like if Dave Grohl like text me like tomorrow and says,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'd love to come on your show," I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, that'd be amazing. Let's go, Dave.
Am I
Let's
am I coming to you? I'll pack
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
stuff up. We'll
I'll fly
fly.
out. Yeah, I'll go buy a ticket right now, you know? Like, so I think that's kind of like my thought process. And like, I can definitely tell that like you're a genuine dude and that you obviously have been doing it, putting in the work, you know? I think that's like the biggest like sentiment I can give about like listening to your music. It's like, there's something specific, and I listen to Machine and Goodbye. So I listened to the oldest song and the newest song. And I was trying to go through and just listen to more, but I like ran out of time. But
Good.
I listened to those two, and it's such a cool like juxtaposition where I feel like the sounds are like a little bit different from each other, which I totally appreciate. And obviously getting the context of knowing that like one was released like maybe roughly a year ago and the other one was released very recently. Um, but I one thing remained the same between the two songs, and I feel like you have this like nostalgicness to your music. Like there's something about it that I like immediately started playing it and I was like, damn, Kyle's got some pipes first and foremost. And I was like,
Thank you.
secondly, I was just like I was like, there's just something like in my head that was like, this is so nostalgic. There's something about like what Kyle does with 125 that I was just like, I love it because it reminds me of like my like early teens, like teen years, where I was listening to like the like very like alternative, like kind of a little bit hard rock stuff. Like it kind of gives me like little flavors of like Breaking Benjamin in some cases, but
Let's
I also
go.
feel like melodically and like piano stuff, it's a little Alisana, like for the emos, you know. And
Yep.
then I also feel like I also feel like vocally, like you got a strong like vocal like prowess. So I'm like, is he giving me like Kill Switch Engage, like Jesse Leach, or like Howard Jones kind of like middle ground point, you know? And that was kind of like I was trying to piecemeal it all together and I had
Yeah,
all
yeah.
three individual
Yeah.
parts.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
as you're telling me your story, I'm like, I see the pieces like moving closer and closer. And I was like, wait a second. I get it now. Like it's the perfect mix of like nostalgia, but still having like such a modern touch to it that I was like, oh, I could have definitely known this had come out like a year or two ago. But it has like the writing style of like like as you mentioned, being going and living out in LA and having a bunch of different musicians and like really crafting and like really working on your process as a musician. I think it definitely has like for sure a like pop backbone to it, but musically it is like not pop. I mean, I feel like it's kind of like again, little symphonic. The symphonic metal thing I didn't really pick up on it at first, but now that you mention it, I'm like the piano, like there's a lot of
Yep.
shit that I was going through like self-realization as you're telling me all this stuff and I was like, okay, now it checks out. And
Well,
I always try to think about these things beforehand and like it was very much in the moment as you were talking. I was like, I get
I
it
love
now.
that. I love that you did that because that's so cool. That's cool to kind of hear like what came through, like and even what didn't. Because what I will say, like vocally, like the big thing for me is like when because like it's one of those things of like I'm trying to think of if I do it in Machine or not, or if it's in like any of the other songs. But like I
Mhm.
have a higher range
You do.
for a
Yeah.
male,
Yeah.
and I accredit the range that I have to actually to the symphonic metal stuff. So
Oh,
growing up,
okay.
I listened. I was singing Nightwish, right? So it's like I'm singing Nightwish, I'm singing and even like Sonata Arctica, like the higher. So like I'm
Yeah.
singing to like the power metal singers, and I'm singing to like those. And one then like growing up like Led Zeppelin, Judas Priest,
Sure.
and
Yeah, yeah.
Bruce Dickinson with Iron Maiden. So it's like a lot of that, but not so much. I'm gonna say my biggest complaint about my voice personally, and this is just somebody that's trying to work
I'm
through
gonna
it.
completely call you out if
Like,
that
sure,
all
sure,
right.
no, but like I mean this. It's because so when I think of like my favorite singers, and I go Sebastian Bach from Skid Row,
Sure. Okay.
Tom Kiefer from Cinderella, um, I mean Tarja, which is a completely different look, right, right. But it's like singing to those. I always wanted that grit, that man, you know what I mean? I wanted that,
No,
like when I listen to Sebastian Bach like rip into it, and I listen to Tom Kiefer like rip into it. So I wanted to like um develop that like almost like hair metal-esque delivery. But because my voice is so fucking soft, no matter how hard I try, it doesn't do it.
it doesn't have
So
the. It doesn't have the.
it just
Ah, yeah, like I got
yeah,
you.
it just doesn't have the it doesn't have that which like I turn grit on, like I can turn grit on here and then, like I always call it the Chester, like when I teach
The
people, because
Chester Bennington.
I'm yeah, yeah. So like I'm not a vocal coach, but like I think everybody that's decent at what they do has some way of like they can show somebody how they learn something.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I
And
agree.
the quote unquote grit, I always call it the Chester.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like the first time that I did it was in it's a fucking Mayday song called Double Pan at a Train Station, which is just a way of saying double penetration. Um, because this was 2008,
Hell yeah.
2009 metalcore.
Oh
Um,
man.
but I did it on that song on accident, and I was like, "Wait, that's like really fun." I was like, "That's like Linkin Parky kind of deal." And I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
"Oh," and then I figured out how to do it. But like, so I can do that. But yeah, I always wanted more. Which, granted, let me just follow that up with, I'm very happy with my voice now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
very happy with like I mean, I work on it all the time, and I'm just trying to get better. But there is a world of like appreciation and confidence for how far I've come, especially when I
Yeah.
hear
Sure.
old recordings of me where I go, "Ugh."
I did that. Yeah, I feel that as someone who's taken on the challenge of learning how to sing like over the past year, like I know what that's like. Like I have friends of mine that are brutally honest and they're like, I think you should work on this, or like I think you should work
Yeah.
on this, and you're like, I don't want to take this personally because I know they're trying to help me out, but I would stab them in the chest if I could,
Yep.
like
I just
and
poured
I
my
but I
heart
get
out to you.
yeah, yeah, I get it. It's like it like the only way, and I find this about like people ask me all the time, they're like, how do you continue to like do what you do for like interviewing and stuff? And I was just like, I just go into it thinking that I like can always learn more. And that's true. You can always learn more. And like, I can always be a better interviewer, And when other people say, oh, no, you're like one of the best interviewers we've talked to, then I'm like, thank you. I appreciate that. But that doesn't stop me from being like, I'm like the top cream of the crop, you know what I mean? I'm just like
Yep.
it just continues. I want to be like the fucking Kobe Bryant of doing interviews, you know what I mean? I want to
Right.
be number one, and like that's not gonna stop me. Like I've looked up to like
Yep.
one of my favorite interviewers is like Daniel P. Carter, who's on BBC One. Like he's interviewed all of the like big metal acts of like the past couple decades, and he's fantastic interviewer. I would also put Pat on that list as well. He's fantastic too. Like, I've watched a ton of stuff on Adobe, and he's again someone I look up to as an interviewer. But like, it's like those are those things I tell people is just like even as musicians, like you're always going to be chasing that thing that's the next thing, and like it's always like you have to be like completely humble with knowing that like people are gonna say like you sound like dog shit or you're gonna like whatever, and like you just gotta let it roll off. Like
I
you're like,
have
okay,
I
have a
have
nice
so
day.
much for
I
this
appreciate,
topic.
you know.
I have so much for this topic.
Go
I
go
have
shoot
so
shoot
much, so
shoot
much for
shoot
this topic.
shoot shoot.
The first of all, the thank you but is like exactly it, because it's all like it's always, oh well, thank you, but like
I can always do better.
I have this and this, and
Yeah.
so exactly, I very much vibe with that, and I completely agree. Um, my ADHD just kicked in. Holy shit, I had so much, now it's all gone.
It's gone. It's
Um,
wiped.
what? Oh my god, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. Why is it
Oh,
gone? Let's
I
talk.
don't know. Keep going.
Yeah. So there
We'll
was
spitball until you figure it out.
oh, it was the thank you but, and it was the come on now, I can do this.
You
I can
got
do
it.
this.
You got
Come on,
it in
come
real
on,
time.
brain. We can do
We're
this. Yeah,
just
you can witness it happen.
yeah.
Man, I so
I have
had it.
witnessed it happening multiple times, Kyle. So as I mentioned before, have a podcast with two ADHDers. I love them to death. A lot of my homies have ADHD. No offense. I love
Oh,
all my homies. But go ahead,
got it.
shoot.
Got
Go.
it. And on the criticism thing is because I go through this too. Is like if you talk to me as like not as a musician, but as a fan of music and a listener, all my friends will tell you the same thing. Well, they're not. I'm gonna tell you what my version of it, and then their version of it. Their version is that I'm particular. My version is that I'm a hater, and not on purpose. Not on
It's a good
purpose.
it's a good I think it's a
like
good thing. Yeah.
Like I'm not a hater on purpose. It's just what it's this is kind of my take on it as a musician, where I go, honest take, if we would have got on this interview and you would have been like, "Hey man, it's I just didn't like it." I would have been like, "Okay." And like
No, I'm
not that
loving
it
it.
would not that it wouldn't hurt, because there's a level of like you want people to like it, but one thing that I have really learned of like from a creative aspect is, and as a listener, is saying, "Oh, that's not for you," or "It's not for
Yes,
me." And so
correct.
I go in this debate when I go into a church coffee shop and I hear a bunch of surfer um, surfer bros debating about hip hop greats and getting in an
That's
argument
like your
with each
opinion,
other
man.
about, but like they're like going back and forth, and in my mind I'm going like, yeah man, like is that artist writing songs for you though, guy? Like surfer guy? Like not saying the surfers
It
don't
could
listen to hip
be.
hop,
It could
but
be
like he could be, but generally when there's like a particular audience and I hear somebody outside of it going, man, that's shit, it's like, or it's not for you.
perspective. Here's a little perspective.
because
Yeah,
because for me, whenever I don't like something, that's my very first take is I go, is this for me?
correct. Yeah.
I don't like it, but is this written for me? If I hear, if there's a 19-year-old kid on Spotify somewhere out there right now that just released a banger of a song for Gen Z, like not to like do the whole generation thing,
Yeah,
but like
it's okay.
for like
I'm 30,
for
so
his
I get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So but for his audience, and then if
Yeah.
I hear it and I go, I don't care for it, it's like, okay, old man, this song wasn't fucking written for you.
And you're like, "You're right.
Um,
It wasn't written
exactly.
for me."
So that's how I take
I'm
it, where it's
staying in
like,
my lane,
but
you know?
yes. So when you have like people like with criticisms and working on stuff, there's like a world of like even positive criticism, because I go through this. Mom, dad, I'm gonna say this out loud, and I'm so sorry.
Uh,
Um, I like my parents are so supportive
I'm
and they're
just
so
joking. I
incredible,
got you.
and I love them. But it's one of those things that as much as I love my dad, who's like I grew up listening to metal because of him, when he compliments stuff that I do, there's a world of it where I go, well, yeah, but like you're supposed to say that, man. Like
You're obligated.
I can't take that compliment for what it is,
Sure, yeah. It's
because
not
like
it,
you oh like
yeah. Oh my god.
but if you mentioned Jordan, right? So it's like say Jordan from Picturesque. If he sends me a message and he goes, "Hey
He's
man,
like,
that song's
"Love
good,"
the song."
I'm
Yeah.
gonna I'm gonna take that, because I go, okay, that's a talented musician that's in the realm of like my audience. Like, you know what I mean? There's so
Yeah,
many
yeah, yeah,
factors that
yeah.
make you go, this compliment valid. Guy on internet that the song's not written for, that goes, and I'll say this as somebody that I do all the clean singing in Our Sorrows except for the newest song coming out next Friday,
Oh!
which Chris did an amazing job on
Shout
that.
outs.
I'm so proud of him for on this song. Um, but like other songs that I sing on, it's so funny to see reactions when people, I was right there, I was with you, and then the singing happened. Oh, it's just the singing, it's gross, and I'm going, that's cool, man. Like, it's not for you. Like, it doesn't make me a bad singer. It like that's a completely different take. If you want to call me a bad singer, you can. Let's debate it, whatever. You being grossed out by the singing in the song, that's an audience thing. That's a you're listening to the wrong band if you don't want that to happen, because we do that. So it's kind of that whole deal where like I think criticisms have to be put in their perspective boxes.
Sure,
So
yeah, yeah.
when you're singing for people, and I'm saying all this to tell you, when you're practicing your singing, not to say you don't have stuff to work on, not to say there's not things to work on, or that your friends' opinions aren't valid, but a very important thing to remember when you're learning to sing and you're developing your voice is this person giving me this advice. What's their taste? What's their perspective?
Sure, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I just got done listening to the new Judas Priest single that just dropped, where a 72-year-old Rob Halford is still hitting fucking notes
The high
way the
notes, yeah.
fuck up there. And there are plenty of people on the planet that'll go, he sounds terrible when he does that. And it's like, not to me, he doesn't.
I think he
Like,
sounds great. Yeah.
I think he sounds amazing doing it. So, but I think that's kind of where I was getting all that is, all that to tell you, criticism's valid. Keep working on your voice,
Oh,
but
thank
just
you.
keep in mind too, it's like,
It's
keep
a
that in mind.
it's a work in progress. That's what I always tell like myself, even like with doing like audio addiction with doing anything, any of the projects that I have is just like everything that you're trying to build for, you're going to be better. Like people ask me, they're like, "Oh, I'd love to start a podcast. Like, how do I start a podcast?" And I'm just like, "You just do it." And they're like, "What?" No, it's like, yeah, you just do it. I know it's crazy. You just wake up and you just do it. It's wild, right? That's a wild
you just
concept.
suck at it.
Yeah.
You just suck at it for a long time until you get good.
Yeah, you
like
just slog at it.
Any
Yeah.
skill.
Yeah.
Every skill, and like I'll give everybody the secret.
I
of life
still
right
think
now
I suck. You know what I mean? Like that's.
But that's what makes you good.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Thank
let's
you.
be honest.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm gonna give the 36-year-old mentally ill, unsuccessful musician guy's take on the secret life. You guys ready? If you guys are prepared.
I'm ready now. I'm ready to listen.
But it really
all
is.
ears.
It is as simple as this. Every skill in life is the same. You suck at it until you don't. And the only time that you can qualify saying you suck at it is when you stop working at it. So it's just that simple. If guys, I'm unfortunately a League of Legends player, right? I've recently.
That's a rough life to live.
It is a rough life to live.
Yes, it is.
So way back in the day, I was a diamond player on a small amount of games, right?
Ooh,
not bad.
Kudos.
So
all right,
right. So I was averaging it around that time, like
you get it,
you get it,
I get it. Yeah.
But so I was like getting like an average, like little like 72% win rate, like 60% into diamond, like back in the day. So I was doing really well.
Okay.
And I'm just not like a grinder, so I don't like thousands of games and do that. So I stopped there and I said, okay, whatever, call it a day. And throughout the years, I've kind of just popped back in and out, popped in and out of League. Well, all I'm getting at is I'm playing League right now. And I'm platinum and I'm platinum 1. All right.
Hell yeah.
I'm like 70% win rate platinum 1. We're getting to emerald. But I've always played jungle. And this is important. Okay, for the people that don't play League of Legends, let's think there's 5 roles, okay? I got good at one of them. And this one is completely different than the other 4.
That is correct.
The other four are at least like within each other, right? I switched AD carry, which is probably the most different from jungle. So what I'm getting at when I say skill sets is, do you know like the odd, like when you're at your like MMR, at your rating of like everybody that you're playing against, when you're playing your best role, it's a 50% win rate. And then you're playing something new. And not only are you playing something new, but you're playing a champion that you don't play. That feeling of I'm so bad at this and I don't understand this. What I'm getting at is that's not real until you just stop. So like I'm going through this whole like total learning curve going, I suck at this game.
This is not fun.
Yeah. I suck at this champion. I am hitting the holy trinity of suckage. But the thing about it is like life is pretty, skills are simple in this fact. Like even like using this video game example, me doing that one thing over and over and over again, eventually I no longer suck at this, and then I no longer suck at this, and then I no longer suck at this.
And then you're just crushing it.
That's right. And then you believe you're good, and then you have to realize that you're not good, and that's how you get better.
Yeah, there you go. That was great. Great metaphor, Kyle.
Thank you
crushed
so much.
it. Crushed
Thank
it.
you. Thank you so much.
As a not like I know of League and I know the extraneous layers that League players go through. I gotta give you a lot of kudos for doing that. You
Thank
know,
you so much.
I personally would not die on that hill, but I appreciate the fact that you are so bold and so willing to say that you would die on the
absolutely.
League hill.
Oh, dude, I hate the game. I hate it. I'm so over it. I'm so over League of Legends.
It might be a masochist thing. You know, that's what I find.
There is not a single League player that's not, because
a masochist. You did actively choose to play League, yeah.
just I mean, but here's what are my other options, man? What am I gonna play Valorant? Like, I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to have to talk to people. I have this whole deal, dude. Let's go into this whole deal if you want to talk video games.
I love
Counter-Strike.
Counter-Strike
and Valorant are those things that my friends will want me to play, and I go, yeah, but then I gotta like talk.
Then
to
I
people.
gotta talk to you.
Who cares? I'm like, I care, like, because like Now I gotta call out like he's in
You got it.
Tetris. I
Yeah.
don't know what Tetris is. So what if I call it wrong? Now I'm the asshole.
Then
And
you're
so
like,
now
he wasn't there. He wasn't there, Kyle. Why did you tell him he was in Tetris, man? Come on, what's wrong with you?
that's right.
Yeah, I got you. I got your back. I got your back,
You got
Kyle. You
me.
can
You
send
got
this.
me.
You can send this part of the video to
Yeah.
your friends.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
clip
got
this
you.
and I'm gonna put it in all
I
my
got you.
Discords. So I
I
play
got
games
you.
in.
You're welcome. You're
Yeah,
welcome. Yeah,
thank
no
you.
problem. I am not that. I am a clinically like Nintendo stan, so I play all the Nintendo stuff. I'm currently trying to complete Tears of the Kingdom, like 100%
Let's
it,
go.
and I want to kill myself. So this it's
Yeah,
not fun.
yeah, I bet. I
I
bet.
I basically finished I think I have like 10 more shrines left before I like 100% the shrines. Oh god, it's so
There's so much in that
so
game.
much in that game,
There's so
yeah.
much in that game.
I could just
I
like can't do it. So
I watched a buddy of mine play it. I watched a buddy of mine play it because most RPGs now, I just can't. Can I tell you about actually speaking of
not the
Tears of the
new Final
Kingdom?
Fantasy? Not the new Final Fantasy? You're not on board with that?
Yeah, I played 7 remake.
I was
My
gonna
whole,
say, come on.
well, I mean, here's the thing. I don't know if you can see my tattoos from here, but
I see
that's
some of it.
Shunova. That's
Oh,
Shunova
yeah, I
upside
did tell. I
down.
could tell. I could tell some of it.
That's Sephiroth there.
Oh, sick. Okay,
Uh,
yeah. All right.
that's Bahamut.
Man,
That's
you
the
really are.
summoned
Yeah,
Odin.
you really are a Final
Yeah.
Fantasy guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Final Fantasy guy. That's Ultima from Tactics.
Oh, that's so
um,
sick.
But I did play the 7 remake. I'm actually excited for the next deal.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts.
I haven't played the most recent Final Fantasy. I need to. But they're not the same.
They're not the same. Okay, that's fair. I'll give you the take.
I'm such a boomer video game guy where like it just doesn't.
They don't
feel
make
the
it like
same.
it used to, you know.
They don't make those games like they
Like
used to, you know.
yeah.
No,
I remember when I
just,
had to fight with grit, you know. Now it's not given to me, you know.
No, dude. Like so, like 10. I hated 12, man. I played every
Ooh.
numbered Final Fantasy up to 12. I hated 12. And this is okay. I'm a contrarian. Let's go. Like I'm about to argue with every one of your listeners.
Damn,
Let's
you
go.
really are trying to come out the gate. I respect it. I
Not on
respect it a
purpose,
ton.
man.
I know.
Not on purpose. I just have takes, whether they're bad or not, and we live with it.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. Respect.
13 was actually okay, even though people hated it. It was very linear, but they very clearly tried to do something different.
Fair enough.
So
I'll give him credit.
12 was, hey, Final Fantasy 11 successful. Why don't we piggyback off of that combat system to get the 11 fans to play this, and then to potentially get 12 fans to play 11? That's what the whole point of that game was. I stand by that because 12 was a terrible game from story and character development. Not to mention, as much as I like Ivalice and like, or however they pronounce it, because I like Final Fantasy Tactics, I like Vagrant Story. For anybody trying to come after me saying I don't know, it's the same universe, and I love both those things. 12 was trash. 13, they at least tried something new. 14 is a brilliant MMO. I spent way too much time on it. And I thought 15 sucked because there's excessive amount of product placement, and the way the story jumps towards the end was completely disgusting. Hopefully 16 is good. I look forward to playing.
You got to get it out there. I respect that. Well, I feel like I was going to ask you this question later on, but we might as well just jump to the gate.
Let's go.
I obviously, as you already know, I'm a huge video game fan. If you could be a video game character, who would you be?
That's a really good question. That's not.
You can give me two. You can give me two because I know how much of a gamer you are. So, yeah.
Damn. Okay. This is a really tough one.
Have you been asked this before or no?
I've never been asked this question in my life.
Oh, perfect.
I've never even thought about this.
There you go. Now you got to think about it on the spot.
Oh my god. On the spot, who would I be?
Yeah, two people. You got 2 slots.
Got 2 slots. Okay.
I don't do this for many people. I'll just let you know.
No.
Special company.
This is good. I'll take this. Let me see, man. Okay, so there's so many options that I'm just running through. They're all RPG options. I'll be honest.
Figured,
That's where my brain's immediately going.
Okay.
Because I started to go to Chrono Trigger, and then I was like, you know who's badass? Magus from Chrono Trigger. But you know what? He also witnessed his sister die by his mom. And then he sent himself back in time just to try to kill Lavos, and then he couldn't. So that's awful. I don't want to be that. Man, this is a tough one. I can tell you, and not who I would want to be, but growing up in a household where mental illness wasn't real, but like they just didn't know, like
Sure,
you know,
yeah.
because like my parents were a generation that just didn't know.
Yeah, sure, sure,
Um,
sure.
I really aligned with Squall from Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
really had a I
That's
really
a good
had
one.
an attachment to Squall from Final Fantasy VIII. Not that I want to be him, because that's the hard part. Is what do you want to be? Because every one of these motherfuckers goes through so much struggle, and like, is that like kind of the mercy?
I'm
Um,
gonna pretend I didn't hear that. I'm just gonna.
yeah, yeah. So that's a tough one.
You are picking
My,
RPG characters, which I'd
I
argue go
know.
through the most amount of like ups and downs of their trivial
And
life.
I'm picking JRPG characters,
I
which just
know.
makes it even more
It's the
dramatic.
real
You know what I
highs
mean?
and lows. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
they
yeah,
have
yeah.
bigger separations. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Oh
Um,
man.
okay, okay. We can do this. We can do this together.
Well, while you figure
Um,
yours out, I'll give you
yeah,
my
talk to me.
exam. I'll give you my picks.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
maybe it'll jog some memories. So on my desk here, I currently have a bunch of. I plan on getting more, but I have a bunch of like Funko Pops, Pokemon Funko Pops. As I mentioned on the show, I am just a huge Pokemon fan. So
Hmm.
my go-to pick is always the Pokemon trainer from Gold and Silver. I think that is the best Pokemon game. Y'all can fight me in the comments. I don't care. You know you're wrong.
Oh, we're
It's all
fighting
right.
today.
It's all right. You're wrong. It's okay. And that's a fine. That's fine. I will respect
Oh,
your
I'm not
opinion.
fighting with you. I'm saying as much as I've challenged your viewers, there's going to be so much fighting in the comments.
That's
So
good.
challenge those fuckers.
There's just gonna be like a full on like mosh pit down in the comments.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, I'm a huge Pokemon fan, so I would probably say Gold and Silver, the trainer. Ironically enough, his name is Brendan, which is very close to my name, so it works out.
Nice. Nice. So that's your one. So you don't have two. You the
Second
one.
one, oh, that's tough.
Yeah. See, I'm gonna struggle to get one. If I can get one and get the two, great. But I'm gonna keep thinking about one.
Two. I'm trying to think. Who could I pick?
Who do
I think I got it. I think I got it. I think I'll do this guy, my man Kirby. I mean, come on. He eats and he
A
fucking
veritable
like
force.
and he can kill like he is like a god apparently. So like, he does it all. So I'd say either Kirby or Sora. I think Sora. I didn't grow up owning a PlayStation, but I think I mentioned this story the last time somebody asked me like heavily about video games, so I figure I'll keep it brief. But um my two friends that I grew up with, one of my friends had Xbox, so we would play like Halo, we would play all the Xbox games when we would go to his house. I had all the Nintendo stuff, so whenever they came over, we'd play like 64, GameCube, Wii, all that sort of stuff. And then my other friend had all the PlayStation stuff, so we'd go over and play like Final Fantasy, like Kingdom Hearts, all of the like PlayStation games. So I fell in love with a lot of like Kingdom Hearts games because my best friend had the PlayStation. We like would hang out like a lot. So I would just go over his house and we would just go through like Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and like just try to get as far as we can, beat the games, all that stuff. So I would say
I
that.
got it. I
Okay.
got mine.
I
I
unlocked it
got
for you.
mine.
Let's go.
You did unlock it. You did unlock it. And I'm just only gonna answer one.
Oh,
I'm only gonna answer one because I very much have it. And this isn't. It is kind of that. My brother. So this is a real thing. So
okay, okay.
speaking of my childhood, my older brother, is just incredibly gifted at everything. He is borderline, like he's almost a genius. Like he's just very, like just he's
He's on
as
it.
close to being a fucking genius as you can. He's also a physical freak. So he's 5'9", he's 38 years old, and he can dunk a basketball, and he hasn't worked out in over a year now. He was playing semi-pro soccer with retired Premier League players when he was 17 years old. He's just an athletic freak, and he's this whole deal. So all this to say, I would be Edgar from Final Fantasy VI, and he'd be Sabin because he's an athletic freak.
I love
And
that.
that's my answer.
I
That's my
love
answer.
that. I love that. That's great. You are the first person to include someone else that isn't on this in the answer. I appreciate that.
And he has no choice.
He has
He
no
has no
choice.
choice. And as the king of Figaro, which I am now, because I'm Edgar, um, he has to abide by it. So
Oh,
yeah,
you hear that, Kyle's brother that's watching this video? That's I don't know.
that's right.
I'll make the
That's
rules.
right.
So I'll make the
That's
rules.
right.
So I'm not the
No,
king.
that's such
So
a good question. That's such a
thank you,
good
thank
question.
you. I love asking it because you can genuinely tell if someone's a nerd or not, like based off of like the other questions I've asked before that. And I'm like, I can get it. Like I could start to piecemeal if someone's gonna give me a good answer or not. And I knew like right from the
Dude,
jump, I was like, Kyle's gonna give me a good answer. I know for a fact.
first of all, I appreciate your faith in me.
Yeah.
So second of all, I have so my Discord, my league friends that I play with, one of our friends, Nat, she doesn't play League with us, but she's like just a real life friend, like a mutual friend of all of us, and she didn't play retro RPGs, but she plays Metroidvanias. She plays like Rogue
Woo!
Legacy and Dead
Okay.
Cells and all this.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
our whole friend group basically now has a list of retro RPGs because for me, I can't go back and play Chrono Trigger. I've played it so many times that I get my brain starts filling in the gaps on all these old games. So it's like if I go back and play Final Fantasy VI, my brain fills in the gaps. I get out of Narsh, and now all of a sudden I'm like, okay, this happens, this happens, this happens. So now I'm not gonna play the game.
Yeah.
But we've all been watching her do playthroughs, and so Final
Oh, that's
Fantasy
awesome.
VI came up because we've been watching her play Chrono Trigger, and then she's mid Chrono Cross right now,
Oh,
and I think we're gonna have her do either the Breath of Fire series or Legend of Dragoon next, but Final
oh,
Fantasy VI is on there,
oh my
so
God,
we got a
you're.
list.
Oh my God, is she? Are you purposefully trying to make her hate herself? Like that's. I feel like that's what.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
fair
actually,
enough.
because if we had to go through it,
She also has to suffer. Wow,
that's
that's
right,
okay.
that's right.
Respect. I respect that. I respect that Discord group. I don't know if I could be a part of it because I think I would die. But um, no, that's awesome. I love that. Great answers from you, Kyle. The next question I have for you is, if you could pick a song to cover, what would it be?
I've thought of this a lot.
Okay, there
I've
you
thought
go.
of this a
I like
lot.
this. I like this.
Because I've definitely considered getting back on the horse of like the social media thing and doing all that. I've realized that I just need to do it,
I
and
feel. Yep, you do.
vocal covers is one of those things where it's like the struggle that I go through and the challenge that I go through is always as a musician seeing people's vocal covers that are really good producers.
Oh yeah.
It's that's always what holds me back because I go, I'm gonna get held to that standard. But like this dude, his chain is sick. So he's gonna sound fucking
Insane.
great.
Yeah.
He's gonna sound insanely good. And then I look at like when I do songwriting for artists too, and like when I do songwriting for them, it's primarily pre-pro. So it's like, hey, here's your pre-production. So like once you get in the studio, you guys figure that shit out, and we'll get you from point A to point B. But the quality you're getting from me is not gonna be I'm getting this mix and master, sending it
Yeah.
off. You're getting a fucking because I'm not a producer. So that's something I think of with the vocal cover stuff where I go, my quality's just not good, but I should still do it. So I've thought
Yeah.
of this a lot.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
I think
and
you should do it. I'm gonna just preface that I
thank you.
think you should do it. I got it.
I
You got it.
thank you. Thank you. And I will. And I have two answers. One's for me and one's for my dad, and
Woo!
they're actually both Skid Row. So there's a song from Skid Row. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's called Quicksand Jesus.
I am not familiar with it. No, I'll have to give it a
Okay.
listen though.
Okay. Anybody watching this, anybody that's like a metal fan, especially a hair metal fan, Quicksand Jesus is Sebastian Bach's best vocal performance on any song. And if anybody like really like listened to like hair metal back in the days, there's an argument that Sebastian, like whether you like the guy or not, probably the best singer in that era. Well, not including Freddie Mercury. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
like, but of like the hair metal band.
Fair. Oh, sure. I'll give you
Um,
that. Yeah.
So Sebastian Bach is probably the best singer out of all those, I would say. And his performance in Quicksand Jesus is so incredible that I've always wanted to do a cover of it because that song just hits. It's emotional. It's beautiful. And then I've just always wanted to cover that. And then my dad probably won't ever watch this, so I can sneak this in here. I'm actually booking studio time at the Audio Compound, here soon, and I'm gonna do a cover of "Wasted Time" by Skid Row because that's my dad's favorite Skid Row song.
That's amazing. I love that.
So
Great answers. Both Skid Row,
I
ironically enough. Not
hey
planned.
man, it is what it is.
Guys, if you have any suggestions for 125 as well, drop them in the comments. I can't
Please.
guarantee he's going to do it. I don't
Yeah.
force anybody to do anything, but a polite suggestion might
Yeah.
work,
I will say this: if anybody that listens to it, anybody listens to 125 and likes it, I will genuinely hear you out on whatever cover you would want me to do, because I kind of look at that as like, if you like the stuff, then if you like my voice, then you probably have an idea of what you'd want me to sing. So I would do it.
Well, this is a perfect segue, Kyle. For people who aren't familiar with 125, which I imagine a large majority of this audience are not familiar, what song would you recommend to a new listener to check out first to give them an idea of your sound?
Man, that's tough. As far as what's out right now, okay.
I see you cooking. I see you cooking. I know you got it.
I have some answers. If you like, damn. Okay.
You thought you had it. I
thought I had
can
it.
see you
Okay.
going through the 5 stages of grief. Where you're like,
I was too. So, "Goodbye," my newest song,
yes,
is a very pop-oriented song.
I would
If
agree.
you like catchy and you like pop songs, listen to "Goodbye." If you like Evanescence-y style songs of that era, I would recommend listening to Nirvana. If you like metalcore and symphonic metal, Machine.
Ooh.
And then my song Fireflies, let me make sure I get this right before I sound like a complete idiot. I actually, do you know Jesse from Vampires Everywhere?
I do. Yes.
We did a podcast at some point like last year or 2 years ago, and I still think about this where I wasn't like, I was just spitting out of my mouth and not thinking about things. And there was a period of conversation where I mixed up periphery and polyphia, and I was just talking so like just matter of fact about it, and he goes, "Do you mean periphery?" or something like that, and I was like, such an idiot. And I think about that all the time. So let me make sure I get this information right. It's an Opeth song.
Oh.
There is an Opeth song that I based the beginning of this song off of. Okay, so my song Fireflies.
Okay. I'll cut out that whole part where you were looking through and trying to figure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I got you.
So my song Fireflies. If you are a fan of the song "In My Time of Need" by Opeth, which sounds nothing like my song, but if you listen to the vocal melody, how Mikael Lagerfeld does that bum 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 bum, like just a very staccato takes. I based the start of that song off of that song. So those are my answers. And then when the album comes out, there's significantly more answers because the other songs sound different as well.
Wow. All right. I wasn't expecting you to go down list by list. I thought for sure you're gonna pick one song and just stick with it.
I couldn't.
But I appreciate. I want to say I appreciate the level of detail. You're like, listen, all of my songs sound different, and I want you to experience them in their own light, in their own time. I respect that. That's a bold choice.
The political answer.
You really said I want everyone. I get it. I get it. I don't know. I would probably say, since I did listen to Machine and Goodbye, I'd probably recommend those two. But I think I really felt a lot of conviction in Goodbye. Like, there is something about it that, like, I was eating my pizza downstairs and I was just like I just felt it. Like, I stopped mid eat and I was just like, this is hidden. Like, And I'm not even
That's what
talking
made
about like
me.
the buffalo chicken pizza that I just
Yeah,
ate, you know? I was just like, this is hitting the chest. And it's like, it's not heartburn either, you know? Like, I'm like,
you're
musically,
gonna
this
make
was
me
good.
you're gonna make me cry a little bit.
It was
Yeah,
good. Like, I think,
that
like,
song. Well, that
I
song's
resonated.
hits. That song hits for me. That song hits me. I mean, all my songs do. I mean, dude, I'll for better or worse, I'm as transparent as they come. Right.
You have been, yeah.
And
So I got
and
that.
and I goodbye is is one of the songs of I actually started to like shoot like a TikTok, like kind of go through that deal, and I've had to reshoot it so many times. I haven't come to one that I like because it was like the explanation of the song, I guess.
Mm,
Um, and it means a lot actually, like with you saying that it hits because I have ADHD, so all my songs they're not like an amalgamation. I don't want to they're not like off the handle. They all have a purpose and a reason, but it's
sure, sure,
always
sure.
hard when I go, "Oh, I wrote this song about this," because a lot of times I'm writing it about whatever the situation, right? And even though these songs are concept album songs, there's still the root of it where it's like it's a song where I'm feeling something and
In the
in a
moment.
way I'm transposing it to a
Mm,
concept, kind of deal. Goodbye is a song that started where at the time I was in and shit, we'll just go full transparent. At the time I was in a long-term relationship where for the first time in my life, I wanted to marry somebody. And I wanted like I was willing to have kids. I'm very cognizant of the fact that I have mental illness and that I have ADHD. So as far as a caretaker, like even my dogs, I take the best care of my dogs that I can. But there's times that like they got to come up to me and they got to let me know that they're hungry, and I go, "Oh fuck, it's 4. My bad, guys. Like I gotta give you your dinner."
yeah.
Um, so I get wrapped up, and so from like the kid perspective, not for me. Like marriage, for me. And I was there. I was so there, and that song, funnily enough, I wrote while I was still in the relationship, and the relationship didn't end until a year after. And the start of that song was that feeling of when you're in a relationship with somebody and you can feel the shift of like where they fall out of love with you
Oh,
and
oh
they
yeah.
won't tell you.
That was like that's what I felt. That was like the immediate
Yeah,
like, oh man.
and that's the start of that.
It's the
Like
rug
that's how
pull.
that it's yeah, and that's kind of like what the song is. The
Oh
song
man.
is very much that. And then it's in that state of when you find yourself in that position and you want to have conversation with somebody and you want to talk to somebody about it, but like you don't know if you're going to like what you hear
Yeah.
or if you don't know if they're going to entertain your perspective on it. There's that line is it all just gets so overwhelming when no place can feel like home.
Yeah. Oh boy.
um that place kind of comes from that, like when like this kind of place that you create home inside of is no longer welcoming.
I feel
It
yep.
just gives you that sense of like needing to isolate from it, but like where do you isolate from if your home is what you're isolating,
Deep.
right?
Yeah, that's some deep
So
deep metaphors there. Yeah.
so that's yeah.
I feel that. And also full transparency, I was in a very terrible relationship, and when you just mentioned like, do you ever have that moment where like the rug pull's happening and you're in that free fall status, like you're just like falling and like time starts to move
Yeah.
slow and you're like what's going on, and like you're in this like weird like limbo free fall moment. That's kind of how I felt for like the past year, and
Yeah.
then and like I got to give a lot of credit to like shout outs to my roommate Alex, as well as like doing this, which I would, obviously say help me like turn a new leaf and hit my
Yeah.
stride. And also I know I mentioned this a lot, guys. I'm sorry, I'm going to mention it again, but like I went to start going to the gym, and I can't say how much of a like mental clarity that
Yep.
brings, where you're
Yep.
just like, I can't, like, obviously, like, I'm not screaming at Planet Fitness at like 8 o'clock at night, but like I feel like I am like putting a lot of that extra effort or that energy out when I'm doing it. And just like by the time I'm out of
Hmm.
the gym, like if I'm feeling like real shitty, by the time I'm out of the gym, I'm like, I'm feeling cool as a cucumber. You know, I'm set.
Yeah.
Like I've ripped it out of my body, and it's good to go. But yeah, like listening to that song like in the kitchen downstairs, like in my apartment. I was just like, oh my god. I'm like, Kyle is hitting me with the feels tonight on a Friday night. You know, like, but and it's weird how it like it's weird how like some music transports you to like that time where you're like, you know, I don't want to be here, you know, but like
Yeah.
the music will be like, it's too late, you're here, you're
Too
gonna have
late.
to go, you got to do it.
I'll do you one better. Is that song was written, I mean, what, 2 years ago now? And my breakup happened beginning of this year.
Oh,
And so when I'm shooting the music video for, and so there's this weird. I have this whole like I always a friend of mine. There was a pop punk band from Orlando years ago called A Hero's Fate, and they did some of the Warped Tour stuff like back then. And my buddy Brian was their singer, and him and I used to have this conversation because like we did a lot of shows together. We did like a lot of little tours together and stuff, and him and I would end up having these conversations, and I will never forget it because I'm like 20 years old at this point, 21 years old, and Brian and I are just hanging out, and he goes, "Do you ever feel like what you write is self-fulfilling prophecy?" And I said, "Fuck if
that's
I don't." I said, "Fuck if I don't." Like I really do. And there's these moments where it's like I wrote that song. So I wrote the full song 2 years ago when I was still in this relationship, and I was like, the whole deal, and just off the feeling of this person falling out of love, right? And then you fast forward to and this is where I go. This is so crazy. What are the chances that when that breakup happened, it's right before the song releases? And then it kind of takes me to this place of like, as I'm now when I listen to the song, it has a face.
yeah.
It didn't have a face when I wrote it,
Oh,
right? And so it's like, so I'm like shooting this music video, and I have a face to see. I have a thing to look at that wasn't there before. And it's like if I would have shot a music video for that song, and I was still in that relationship, it wouldn't have looked the same, and it would have been, I don't want to say disingenuine, but it wouldn't have been as genuine as it is.
yeah.
And so there's like those just this kind of weird moments where I go like, now this song that for me was like this question in time of my life became the, I'm listening to it just like you are as a listener with a memory, and I'm like, man, that fucker went off.
That's a statement. Yeah, that's a statement piece now.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like I definitely got transported back for like a hot second, and it made me really kind of like it makes you kind of think about some of the decisions you make, and like it's crazy. Like I say that all the time about music. Like even like you know I was very transparent on listening to like the latest like Devil Wears Prada album that came out last year, and like literally was listening to Color Decay live, and Cancer comes on, and I am like bawling my eyes out on stream live. Like people are
Yeah,
watching
yeah,
me
yep.
cry
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
stream. And like it was so wholesome because people commented and were like, "Yeah, I really like I really feel your spot, you know, like
Yeah.
I lost someone to, you know, I lost someone that was very close to me or whatever." And like ironically enough, it was like months after like my aunt passed away, and like at the time I was like not like there, and then this song takes me there, and it gone. I was out. Like
Yep.
it was an out of body experience, and like some people might see that as like a cringe thing. Like, why would you be videoing yourself cry, right? And it's like I wasn't. It wasn't on purpose. Like I wasn't like,
Right.
man, I'm gonna cry to this song. It was like just an emotive thing, and like I always tell people all the time is like music is such a like universal language thing. Like people, you could be speaking an entirely different language, but like there's some emotional like backing behind it that just grabs your chest and like rips your fucking heart out, you know, or like
Mm-hmm.
takes you to
Mm-hmm.
like a really positive aspect of your life or whatever, right? And I think that that's what I think I love about doing not only interviewing people, but like I also think it makes me appreciate people's music and their like directness sometimes. Like I think there's something about like there's something of beauty in the way that sometimes people convey lyricism where it's like, oh, that's very eloquent, that's very beautiful, I love the way that they do it. But then like I also love when people are just like super direct,
Yep.
like they're in your face
Yep.
and you're just like there's no way around it, like it's just like in it's like
Listen.
it's like a demon, you know? It's like
We can we
right
can
there.
we can nerd out on lyricism
It
because
is.
we can nerd out on lyricism because that's like my like obsession.
Sure, yeah.
Like that shit is like good lyricists are my fucking
Yeah.
obsession where it's like and I really talk about this a lot like with about it where it's like and it's good lyricism is not just I got a dictionary out and wrote the big word. That's not good lyricism. Now, as I say that, what I will say this out loud. Fucking Garrett from Silent Planet
Oh,
is a motherfucker. Like if you want to talk about like dictionary, yeah,
dude's
like
wild. Yeah.
here's the different and I specify this with that where you can read those lines and you can try like there are so many people and this is just my like little old man boomer music
That's
lyricism
all right.
thing.
No, I'm hearing you
I
out.
see I see people see what he does and they go, I'm gonna do that. And when they do it, it's just a guy with a dictionary and a thesaurus, and it doesn't hit. And it's just cool, man. You used the word obelisk. That's crazy. Wow. That's crazy. You use that word. That's nuts. Annihilation. Holy fuck. You know what I mean? Like you have those
Yeah,
moments.
yeah, yeah.
But then it's like a guy like Garrett where it's like when you read it and like the way he
Oh,
sets his phrases up and the way he resolves them, the fucking word choice, the way he credits like in those music videos to
yeah.
like
There's
what he's
literally
talking
like,
about.
yeah, there's
I'm
like,
like you monster. You
yeah,
monster. But like what makes him good is not the fact that he uses those words. What makes him good
is
is
the
the fact that he
conviction.
can use those words. Like he can use those words. And it's like he's not forcing it. It's not a guy sitting here going, I need a word for I feel sad but big.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
that. So I
I
have so much and by the same token,
yeah, go
and I'll
ahead.
talk about this. Jeremy McKinnon from A Day to Remember. The guy does not he's the opposite. He doesn't play like
Around the words. Yeah.
thesauruses. He's
He's
just
just
right in
like
your face. This is what I
the
feel.
straight
This
and
is how you
narrow.
should feel about it. And I have so much appreciation for all styles
Sure.
of lyricism,
Yeah.
and I mean, I hope it shows like with what I do, where there's a lot of what I do. If I try to balance, especially if you ever were to check out the Our Sorrow stuff and you see what I do with those lyrics there, I have a very binary way of doing things with Our Sorrows, where the screams are the dictionary
Yeah.
thesaurus.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're the more elaborate. They're the more elaborate takes, and the singing is the more straightforward, more direct kind of approach. And then in my own stuff, like in the 125 stuff, I try to do my best to portray the emotion and give an image. And really, I mean, there's sometimes like, and I like wordplay. There's a lot of, I do a lot of nerding out when I write stuff that like it's the 0.1% where I go, nobody's gonna see this. Nobody's gonna
It's
notice
smart
this.
though.
But
That's smart.
but it's
The
for me.
lyricism's smart.
It's for me that I care about where I go like so one thing that I talk about is like I'm big on vowel choice and consonant choice depending on the phrase and like what I'm trying to say and like when and like it's not this isn't the point one that I'm getting at. This is kind of it's a relatively common thing where it's like if you want something to hit and you're trying to say like if you're choosing, hey, I need an aggressive term for this really hard hitting part, am I going to say annihilation or destruction? You're going to say destruction because it's hard consonants. Bop, bop, bop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Annihilation is too soft, it runs, whatever. But what I'm getting at is like, I like to like do like these little internal rhymes that'll go back and forth, or I'll close out in specific ways. I'll do full phrases where I like not necessarily alliteration, but like I'll do like open close with the
Oh
same
yeah, yeah,
consonant
yeah.
kind of stuff.
Correct. Yeah,
And
yeah.
little me with a notepad challenging myself
Like in a little
kind
Easter
of
egg. Yeah,
things.
I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
little
yeah,
Easter eggs that I just really love to do because like when I see other lyricists do that, I go, "Oh, that's so cool." Whether you know you did it or not, that's so
yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah.
And that's the shit that I really nerd out about. So.
No, I think that is important because I think oftentimes, like for me, I am a huge like I listen to it. Like I'm the music guy first. Like I like tonally getting into it, and that's like my bread and butter. Like a lot of the ways I like learned how to write music was just by ear. So like a lot of
Mhm.
my focal point is like how are the drums hitting, how is the bass sitting, like where are the vocals at, like guitar wise, like are they panned out, like how many weird shit that probably most people don't really care about. Uh, and then like if I really like the group, then I delve into the lyricism, and I think that really is what like ties everything together. Where I'm like, oh man, I really like this band, and then it's like, I really like this band because this lyric hits. And I was like, I really like this album because all of these lyrics are wild. I
Yep.
actually just
Yep.
love this band. This is my favorite band of all time. You know what I mean? Like, and
Right.
it's
Right.
like
Right.
a slow build, but I think there is, and I love that you shouted out Silent Planet because I think they're just like Garrett and just their group of guys, which I'm super stoked for Super Bloom. But I think that there's such a way that he rides this line of being very like upfront. I would say more current with his more current music, like
Yep.
Iridescent and like the newer stuff that's out, where I feel like it's way more direct. Where I felt like prior, it's like as you said, it's like this guy that's like really trying to like put it all together, and like it doesn't sound like word jumble. I think he really does a beautiful way of like interweaving like thoughts and ideas into a song, and then you basically sit here just like this the entire time, and you're like, and
Dude.
then you're like, oh, he has like 20 sources that he has added onto this that you have to go look through, and then he specifically says he notates this, and you're just like even more like you're just like, and he,
Yep.
I mean, I found out he has like 3 degrees, so it makes sense like why
It
he's
makes a
like
lot of sense. Yeah.
once somebody said yeah he actually has like a lot of degrees, I'm like okay, it makes sense, but like
Yeah.
at the same point it
Fucking nerd, am I right?
as coming from two nerds ourselves, I think that's a not as much of a dig as you think it is.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But I think it's like I
No, I
find
have
that
so much respect for him and everything he
I love
does.
his stuff, but then like I think about bands like Under Oath, like and how much like those people have influenced my life, right? And like their lyricism is not nearly as intense as Garrett's, right? But
Yep.
I still
Yep.
feel that emotional tug that I when I listen to Garrett's lyricism, I'm like, fuck, that hits. But if I listen to an Under Oath song, I'm still like, fuck, that hits, because like I was a kid and it takes me back to that like
Yep.
nostalgic time of like you're an angsty teenager just like we all were, you know, and like you feel that emotional connection. And so it's crazy how originally I used to be like more of a musical connect, and now I'm like kind of like a mix between like lyricism and like I'll get goosebumps, like I'll be like, oh shit, this is really cool, like I really like this, like,
Yep.
and that's such a cool thing. So yeah, I appreciate. I'll have to nerd out with some of your lyricism now after this, because
Please.
I
Please.
listened to the music and I was like, I'm hooked on Kyle's stuff, but now I'm really gonna have to like be more hooked on the lyricism, and I'll have to like message you and be like, oh, love this part.
Please.
This is great.
Please. Please.
But the
So.
next question I have for you, Kyle, is another fun question. If you could pick somebody to collaborate with on an up and coming 125 track,
Woo.
two options again. One is the one if you like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know, like you shout out someone that you like, you know, you would want to have on a track, but like haven't asked. You know, you want to
Mm-hmm.
ask
Mm-hmm.
now, and then one that's just like we're manifesting. We're putting it out there. You know, like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
cream of the crop. Like this is Kyle's number one pick.
Okay. Okay. I think
You got
I
it.
get
You
two.
got it. You got it.
I get two answers for this.
You get two. Yeah, two.
Okay, my manifest one is very. It's a very easy choice for me on this one.
Oh, okay.
There is a band from. I'm not getting another piece of information wrong.
Oh,
There is a band
I respect that.
from. So I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this. You guys don't have it here. They're from Finland. They got to be from Finland.
Oh, okay.
There's a band from Finland called Beast in Black. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I am not. No.
Their singer Giannis is, I believe, a Greek. He was like a Greek YouTuber, or he did YouTube after, whatever. But basically, he has a cover of "Ghost Love Score" by Nightwish, and it's one of the most beautiful renditions, like of that song. Like, he's incredible.
Okay.
My manifest is, man, if I got Giannis on a song, I would lose my fucking mind, because I genuinely think he's the best male singer on the planet right now, and I
That is.
genuinely believe that. Okay,
That
I here you can, and you don't have to do this right now. You don't have to do this right now.
send me the
There
link.
is
I
this.
will listen to it.
I'm gonna send you the link. Are
I
you
will
a
listen to
Spotify
it.
guy? You a
I am a
Spotify guy?
Spotify guy. Yeah, I
Cool.
am.
There's your link. You can check it out later. I genuinely believe he's the best male singer on the planet right now.
Okay. Okay. Respect.
And then as far as a feature, a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, somebody that is close, but I haven't asked, or I don't feel like I have the. You know what, man?
You got it. I think you
It's
can. I think you,
for 125, it's tough because I feel like so many of my friends are. Oh, you know who I would love to do a feature for 125? Fucking Kyle from Picturesque.
Oh,
I would,
I could.
dude.
Yeah.
I actually haven't thought about that because it's so different from what I do, but also like in the vein of like range where we're
Where
around
Kyle.
there.
Yeah.
I would actually, because I haven't thought of that because I was. I'll tell you where I was going. For Our Sorrows, I think it would be somebody like Jim Riley from the Ghost.
Oh.
Where I love Jim.
Oh.
I fucking love Jim, man. Like we actually were so lucky that when we recorded our first album, the Ghost Inside hadn't announced their comeback yet, and they were at the audio compound.
Oh.
So we kind of knew
Oh
before
my
we were
god.
supposed to,
That's so sick.
and I got to meet them. Like we got to meet them and hang out with them, and they were so fucking. They're just such good guys. But like
Sweethearts.
Our Stars, yes, and and Jim, like if you've never talked to him, he's got just such big brother energy, just such like bully big brother energy, but he's
I
not like
feel.
lovable bullying. One of my favorite things
Tough
about one of my
love.
favorite
Tough love.
moments with
Yeah.
Jim, favorite moments with Jim is well, I already talked about my brother, and my brother came to the studio like with us just one time because he just wanted to be there, and he ends up hanging out with Jim just randomly like at the kitchen, and the next day, I see Jim. He goes, "Your brother not coming today?" And I was like, "No, why?" He goes, "I'd rather talk to him." And just giving me shit, you know. And so I love Jim. He's like that. So like Our Sorrows, I would love a Jim Riley feature. But yeah, and the reason why I say Kyle is because he has that almost smooth, silky,
He does.
the hip hop R&B, and I just think it's so different from what I do that would be sick. That would be sick. So those are my answers.
I could. You know, I might.
Three,
I
technically
might.
three answers.
I might know some. I might know a guy. I might. Yeah. I might know someone.
I know. Okay.
I might know. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can pull some strings. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
Kyle, listen. Kyle, I know Kyle watches my stuff. Kyle, you already know. You're like my brother. Go hit up my other brother, Kyle. Two Kyles.
Oh wait, we had a Kyle pile on tour.
It's a Kyle off.
We had a Kyle pile on tour. Hold on.
A Kyle pile. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Is it all the Kyles in one spot?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just me and him. Just I forgot who we it might have been on top of Jordan now that I think about it, but
he's not Kyle though. That's just
don't worry about it.
Two Kyles and a Jordan.
Well, first of all, I don't remember if it was Jordan or not. We can cut that out. But there was a Kyle.
He's Kyle now. Jordan is now Kyle. Yeah, I got you.
So, but yeah, there was a Kyle pile, and it was great. It's funny because like we all didn't really hang out that tour until like one of the very last days. We all realized that we're all video game nerds.
Yeah,
like,
they're all gamers.
It was like the last day where we actually ended up talking about it, and it's like, well, fuck, man. If we would have talked about this a month earlier, this would have been.
They've been so different. Yeah. Oh yeah, they're huge gamers. They used to.
Yeah.
I'll give a little background story for people who don't know. So, Picturesque was the first band I ever interviewed in person. So I had done like a lot of interviews online prior. And shout outs to one of my best friends, Sammy. She's awesome. We went to community college together, and now she's doing bigger shit than I am. So big salutes to her. She's awesome. Well deserved for sure. But she knew Kyle. And Kyle and I had never met before, and I added him on Facebook, and I said, "Hey, I am doing this podcast, this like interview thing. I would love to come out to the show in Philly and see Picturesque and interview you guys." And like, he was like, okay, let's do it. And then I like showed up and we did it like shout outs right in front of Voltage Lounge, rest in peace, one of the premier venues in Philadelphia, and also Electric Factory, which is also still there. Electric Factory didn't go away, but it's not everybody calls it Franklin Music Hall. It's not Franklin Music Hall. You all know it's Electric Factory. Don't lie to yourself. You don't deserve it. You know, you deserve better. But we had done it out in front of the venue there, and then I think like the same night I was just like, "You guys got a place to crash?" And they're like, "No." And I was like, "You want to just come back to my like home in Jersey?" And they're like, "Well, we're playing New York the next day." I was like, "That'll work out." And then like they stayed over my house and we like hung out. I like cooked them breakfast. And like we remained the buddies, and they would stay at my place like basically anytime. Like they'd stay at my parents' house. Shout out to my parents. They'd stay at my
That's
parents'
awesome.
house, and we would just hang out and like talk. And like they're some of my closest friends, I'd argue, that I've met doing this.
That's
So
awesome.
it's very nice. Yes. Shout outs to Picturesque. Kyle, you got to do it now because I said a nice comment about your entire band and that I've housed you. So I feel like you guys owe me
Was that
at least one favor, you know?
you actually were so good at that because I didn't realize you were seed planting.
I got you. Yeah.
This is a beautiful story.
It is
Like
so
this is
beautiful.
such a
Sorry.
beautiful story. No, it is a beautiful story, but I didn't realize
I got you.
he
Listen,
was finagling.
I got you. I got you. Listen,
Okay,
Kyle, I got you. I got you. You know,
listen
they at least owe me
as
something, you know?
listen as a fellow temporary co-host on your other podcast, which I am now.
You must be.
I have to be. You know,
Okay.
I genuinely appreciate it. So
There you go. Well, welcome to the club.
yeah.
Shout out, it's 3 Men in the Breakdown if you want to check that links in the description. But no, yeah, Kyle from Picturesque. Come on. Work with my other buddy Kyle. He's like practically my brother now at this point. So let's do it.
We've been related for years. We go way
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. We look the same.
Yeah, that's just you can't tell the
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the lighting,
Yeah.
everybody would have a very
Honestly.
hard time.
Yeah, I have to get
Yeah.
darker lighting probably
Yeah,
and more
yeah.
and more.
Well, I mean, I could get a ring light. I could get a ring light. On his
You know,
face,
listen,
you know,
honestly,
so-
I could, you know, I've been looking for the perfect opportunity to get more tattoos. So, you know, do it up.
Listen, I'll map out my arm for you. What says
tit for
friendship?
tat, you know?
Yeah, tit for tat. What says more friendship than the
Oh my
same
God,
sleeve? You know what I'm saying? Do you watch
I-
Hellsing? Because that's what this is
I
from.
don't know. So I guess I have to start watching Helsing now. Anyway, Kyle, the next question I have for you is if you were trapped on a desert island for the next month and there was one album you could bring with you to listen to, what album would it be?
Easy. I don't know how to pronounce it. It is
Oh.
the newest album from a band called Mental Cruelty.
I'm gonna do my best to Mental Cruelty.
Yeah.
Please be
I-
as rude as possible to me because if I do butcher it, I probably deserve it.
I have not heard an album that made me feel the way that I do. Since like this album just destroyed me. I mean, like there's so many good songs on this album, but by the time I got to like Arrogance of Agony, which by the way is like the second to last song, I was just losing my fucking mind. This album is my album of the year, actually.
Holy shit! Okay, that's pretty high. I think it's Sveldschlit.
I don't speak German.
That's
so
what I think. I don't
have
speak
no
German
idea.
either. If I had
Yeah.
said something if I said something super offensive, I'm sorry. That's all I'm gonna say.
You actually just got
I just
censored,
blurred.
like,
I bleeped out,
yeah.
German people all in Germany are like, this
Yeah.
idiot. We're gonna come to
No,
America.
Dude, this album is like, I don't really listen to like, I don't really listen to black metal as much anymore, or like even death. Okay, so like so for reference, my whole album, the whole 125 album, I recorded Chris Wiseman from Currents and Shout of Intent.
Oh yes.
Mixed and mastered it.
Ooh.
And Chris is not human. I say this every chance I get. He's not
He
human.
is not. Yeah.
And then the Our Sorrows album that's coming out, we co-wrote it. So Chris, Tim's, myself, and Chris Wiseman co-wrote it, and Chris mixed and mastered it.
What a goat.
So I spent like a lot of time with Mr. Wiseman in the past few years, and all it's to say is like, Shadow Intent is unreal. They're just so good. Currents so fucking good. all this to backtrack to say I don't really listen to deathcore as much anymore, and I don't listen to like as much heavy shit as I used to. That being said, when you listen to Mental Cruelty, you'll see what I'm getting at. It's I lost my mind. I lost my fucking mind. It's so good. It's the best heavy stuff I've heard in years.
I feel you. I'm like I don't really I like delve into heavy stuff every once in a while. Like I'll actually that's not true. I do delve into a lot of heavy stuff, but I also like my again shout out to my roommate Alex. He's been getting me into
Oh, I need to change my
oh,
answer. No, 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 not this one. The feature, the unfathomable feature. Taka from 1OK Rock.
oh yes please
That kid.
yes please all right.
Actually, because I also have to change my answer on that kid's the best singer. That's the best male singer alive. He doesn't miss.
He is phenomenal. Yeah.
He's unreal, man. That's my unfathomable one.
Okay,
So I'm
okay.
sorry.
Well,
Continue.
I'll plug it again, guys.
Yeah.
If you like Kyle, you like 125. I need you to go tag 125 on Instagram. I also need you to tag Picturesque. I also need you to tag 1OK Rock, and then I don't remember the other one, the
Beast in Black.
Beast in Black, and I need you to type the word collab question mark. And then listen, I've been on the internet long enough to know that like if you type something out on the internet, it's probably true, right? Just saying.
Manifesting. It's called
Manifest.
manifesting.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if we could all help manifest this, nobody owes me anything. Don't do it unless you
I
want
owe
to. You know what
Kyle
I'm
this,
saying?
so
But
do it up. So that's all I'm saying. Do it for my man, my brother Kyle. All right, let's do it up. That's what I'm saying.
it's a
That's what I
brother stream.
want. You if just think about it like this. If you're watching this and you're like, this will never happen. Just imagine if it does happen, how much of a G you'd be.
Damn.
Whew. Unreal.
You're kind of spitting.
Yeah. I'm kind of spitting. I'm not gonna
Holy
lie.
shit.
Just think how cool you'd be.
So
I
I'm
would be
sorry.
stoked. I'd be
I
stoked.
totally interrupted you here, but you were saying you don't listen to heavy stuff as much anymore.
I
Please, I'm not
joked.
trying
I
to
joked.
ADHD
That's a
you out
joke.
here.
I joked.
Okay.
So I do listen to
Okay.
a lot of heavy stuff, but my roommate has gotten me heavily invested in K-pop music, and I absolutely love K-pop right now.
Good.
I'm on like we've been going through these deep dives, and we've been taking a listen to like a bunch of different K-pop groups. Oh, it's been so much fun.
We
Like
can
they
have a
right.
K-pop conversation. I'm a boomer K-pop listener.
What? Oh, I respect
Yeah.
that. I
So are
respect
you ready?
this.
Are you ready for
I'm
my
ready.
whole world?
Give it
I
to me.
moved when I said so the whole LA thing, and I moved adjacent. I don't know if you know where Garden Grove is in California.
I do not know.
It's Little Saigon.
Oh my
And
god.
in Little Saigon, there was we called it fake Target because we couldn't pronounce the name, you know.
H Mart.
But but like it was like, but it looked like a Target, but it
Okay.
wasn't.
Okay.
And then so you walk in, and it's like it's groceries, it's a whole deal, and just to the left there were like these closed stores, and then there was one, and this is 2012, 2013. Actually, you know what? I can find out
Wow.
right now.
Oh my
I can find
god.
out. I can find out right now.
So you're like an
Um,
OG K-pop stan
bro,
then.
let's go. Let's go.
This is
Yeah,
wild.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
learning so much about Kyle that I didn't know.
2011. It's 2011.
Oh.
So 2011, After School's Virgin had just come out, and we're walking into this, and we were just walking in because my roommate at the time, Phil, he's still vegan, but like he was just looking for some vegan options, and it's like, well, what better fucking place than the fucking Korean market?
Yeah,
let's
hell
go
yeah.
get some tofu.
Let's
shit.
go.
And so we walk in, and then we're hearing this like, it sounded like crunk music. Because if anybody listened to K-pop in 2011, there was a lot of crunk influence.
I didn't.
And
yeah. That's my
dude,
time.
yeah. So I'm like, what the fuck? And turn the corner, and there's these just albums, and like full like just big, almost vinyl, like they're vinyl sized, but like
Yeah.
they have like the CDs and shit like
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
And we spent so much time in there. I ended up getting like Virgin from After School. I ended up getting some can't pronounce it. Like I'm so bad. Like I'm always hesitant when it comes to like Korean
No,
names.
no. Yeah.
But like
Some OG
yeah, I
ones.
ended up like some OG ones, and so the song's called Breakdown. If anybody, I forget the name of the artist. I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
But yeah, like that era, 2011 of that dude, I went hard for some K-pop, and then I come back to Florida I'm living my no music life. You know what I mean? And I come back to things, and the next thing I know, BTS is the biggest thing on the planet, and
Yep.
I'm like, dude, I remember when BTS sounded like, and this is like, oh my god, I'm such a boomer. I remember when BTS sounded like the Fast and the Furious soundtrack.
Oh my god, yeah, the
Um,
Teriyaki Boys, yeah.
dude,
Bum, bum,
what's
bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you.
dude, dude, but that era of BTS was really good.
Okay, we
Uh,
haven't fully delved into old BTS.
yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh my god,
We can keep talking, but
I
yeah,
love
just
this.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, so
Was
I
it like
fully have jumped down the K-pop rabbit hole as of like 6 7 months ago, something like that.
2014, it was Danger from BTS. I'm gonna link that to you too. This song's a bop, but
Woo!
I'll be damned if it doesn't sound like the Fast and the Furious soundtrack.
Okay, well, I'll be there to
Yeah,
comment on that one or not.
yeah.
But I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, modern K-pop is wild. You
It's
can really
very
find
good.
anything. But it's so like you want to talk about like I tell this to like metalheads all the time. I was like, you want to talk about good like song structure and like production. That's that's
Yes.
the shit.
Yeah.
And a
It's
lot
not
of
a
bands
it's
should be
not a
looking
joke.
at that. A lot of bands should be looking at that for great production style. 100%.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. K-pop is so far ahead of everybody.
It's
Uh, like
future.
like
It's
like
future pop
it
music.
so so it's crazy because this is like funnily enough because we're gonna go this the after school 2011 like all that shit, that guy that I was talking about, that's the guy that shot my music video. Yeah, so it's this whole like
Wait,
back and
wait,
forth.
wait. What?
We Yeah, so my friend like that I was walking through that store with, that I lived in Garden Grove with at the time, he's the guy that shot my music video for Goodbye like
That's so
this year,
sick.
right?
Oh,
So
full
um
circle.
yeah, so it's a whole full circle moment. Funnily enough, when you look at 2011 through like 2014 even, K-pop, it was trying to catch up to American hip hop. It was trying to catch up to American hip hop and pop. Modern
Nuts.
K-pop is what Americans should be trying to fucking catch up to, because it really is next fucking level.
You're right. You're right. The last thing I have for you, Kyle, is, and you kind of elaborated on it a little bit, but um, what do you want people to take away from what you do, like with 125? Because I think oftentimes, we've had a very long heart to heart, which I absolutely love. But for me, like as I mentioned earlier, like I'm such a big fan of music that I think a lot of the times, like I think we overlook the fact that like these are people like that spend countless amounts of hours, time, blood, sweat, tears that they put into this, and like people listen to this stuff that like maybe have not heard of your stuff, or they like care a lot about your music, or maybe have never heard of you in your entire life. And like for me, whenever I try to find out about new groups or people recommend me new groups or whatever, I'm always like really, really invested in who I have on. Like I really want to try to see why they do it, why they're passionate about doing it, what makes them get up in the morning and is like, you know what I want to do? Make music. That sounds sick. So I kind of want to know, why this is important to you, why you care about it, because it's a big deal to me, and I imagine
Yeah, yeah,
hopefully other
yeah.
people.
Yeah, so there's a few things,
Give me
as you can
that. Give
tell.
me all
I
of
just
it.
be talking all of it.
I love
Okay,
it.
let's go.
Spit. You're spitting, so I
Cool.
got you.
Let's go. Let's go. Um, so I don't want to say I don't want to do it, because I do.
Sure.
There's a world, and this is gonna be like the cringe answer of like I need to do it, where
It's not cringe.
typically whenever I'm going, whether it's through like an episode, like a depressive episode, or whether it's just overwhelming with life or something like that, there's this world of like I can write it down and it feels fine,
Mm-hmm.
but there's always this world of like it's supposed to sound some way, and then like I'll kind of go through the whole you want all of it, I'm gonna give all of it. I genuinely have this theory, and I was talking to one Andy Karpovic, who actually, I have 2 singles coming out next year that he produced, recorded, and produced for
Woo!
me, and gotta tell you guys, they're basically just pop songs.
Hell yeah. Let's
They're not
go.
heavy. They're not heavy at all.
I'm waiting for a dance,
So
like a K-pop
yeah.
dance.
Oh no, they're ballady, I guess. But in
Oh
any
man,
case,
you can do it.
but um, we were talking about this where, and it's something that I firmly believe, and I felt for a long time, where I don't think people write music as much as, and I'm gonna sound like an insane person. I really am. I believe that songs themselves, melodies, and the inclusion of like said lyrics with said melodies are entities themselves. And I believe that they choose their conduit. And I believe that what happens is like it's why you can sit with a pen and paper and try to write the right thing, or sit with a guitar and try to write the right thing piano for so long, and then one time it just makes sense. And I genuinely believe that it's because you match the frequency of that entity and they're allowing you to portray them. And I always kind of look at it as, if this idea chose me, I want to it chose me for a reason, and I want to do the most that I can with it, out of respect for the.
You
And
want it to be
then,
represented
like,
well.
yes, yes, and the best that I can. And a lot of what I do is like, it's like,
Hmm.
I think there's a lot of musicians. There's like the self doubt aspect where it's like, I have confidence in who I am, and what I am as a musician. I'm gonna sound like a turd when I say I listen to my own music more than I listen to other people's
No,
stuff. But
no,
like,
no, no.
like,
That is,
but like a lot of it,
I'm gonna stop
is
you there.
because
I'm gonna stop you there. I think that is the biggest compliment. I think if a musician, I'll die on this hill. I don't care. This is my hill to die on, and I'll do it. But I think that if you're a musician and you listen to your own music, and you like if you actively spend your time listening to your own music, that I think that's great. I think that's a big move because like personally, it's like that is like such a like mega compliment to what you do because it's like if and I'm not saying that every artist has to do that, right? But I think it's such
right,
a big thing that like literally painstakingly listening to different mix versions of the song, painstakingly putting like things together in the track, like figuring out all of this shit and still spending the time to listen to it after that's all been done. I think that's a
yeah,
huge compliment because it's just like you're like it proves that you want to just do better as an artist. Like you're never satisfied with like this is how I'm going to sound for the rest of my life and this is what it's going to be, right? And then the second thing is that I also think it just shows that like you love your music enough that you will listen to it in your active free time. Like that
yeah,
like I sometimes like I don't really like to watch my interviews, but there is some times where I sit through them and I'm like, you know, actually that wasn't that bad. I do like
yeah.
it. You know what I
You have
mean?
those
Like
moments where you're proud of yourself and you're like, yeah,
yeah.
okay, let's do that
You're
again.
like,
Yeah,
oh, you had
yeah,
a Brandon, you had a great question there. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like that's
yeah,
sick.
yeah, yeah,
Or wow, this conversation you had with Kyle,
mm,
kudos. That was sick.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, and you have those
yeah,
moments where you're like, that's sick. And I'm not saying I don't have any self doubt because like there's sometimes where I'm just like, this
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
blows. I hate this. But but like also at the same point, I think it's just like you know, similarly to what we mentioned and like, you know, closer to the middle of the conversation, which is like you just got to keep doing it until you get better. Like there's
yeah,
no way to stop that train of just forward progression. And I think that people often think that like you're just going to suck for the rest of your life and it's just like you could think that way and that's up to you, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that could either empower you or put you in a hole, you know what I mean? Like,
Um, so piggybacking off this ADHD piggybacking,
hey, I love it.
the best take of that is actually, and I mentioned him earlier, is that I really took home for me is Chris Wiseman. Chris Wiseman said something to me the first time I ever sat in a room with him when we were writing, and I don't remember how it came up, but his perspective on like learning things is so cool.
All
Where
right.
he spends painstaking time getting something down, and then his legitimate perspective shift is, well, if I can do it, it's not that hard. And like it's this like he does this, and I think it's actually a really clever thing because it's this world of like you're leveling yourself. You know, like I don't know how to explain it, but like he kind of like explained it to me like that was in a way of like is like, oh well, like, you know, if I can do it, it can't be that hard, or like I can play it, so, you know, like I don't know
Anyone
how
can
to
do it.
explain it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it's like, yeah, but you're an inhuman guitarist, brother. Like, like different, but like it's still cool.
I've never picked
Yeah,
up a guitar in my life, you know? The guitar that's sitting over there, I've never picked it up. I don't know what this is. What's this
I
doing in
know
my
what you're right. I
room,
can't
you
do it.
know? Like
Um,
how'd it get
but
there, you
um,
know?
but no, like so with what you're saying, yeah, like because like the self doubt's there, and that's kind of what I was getting at. Where it's like I sometimes feel like I have the audacity to like sit here and listen to my own stuff when there's better musicians out there. But there's a world of like also in the same vein of what I was saying, where like the ideas or the entities, I really do look at it as like it chose me for a reason, and it's what I want to listen to.
Sure,
And so I
yeah.
just feel like it's like I end up with songs that like I just wanted to hear in the first place. So I'm gonna listen to them because I wanted to hear it, and they didn't exist prior. And like if they did, I would have just listened to that thing.
Sure, yeah.
Um,
You gotta be
and
proud of what
my
you do, you know what I mean?
and
But
and
like you
my
also
con-
have to have like that reasonable expectation that you're like you're not gonna let that eat because like I feel like expectation is just like ego in check, right? Like I think that there's just some way where you're like, okay, like expectation, like I know that I am like I'm not gonna self-doubt myself. I know that I'm a good interviewer, but like by putting myself in that like humbled position of being like I am a good interviewer, but I know I can be better, is that like perspective change where you're like, oh man, like I can do better. You're right. I can ask better questions, or I can be a little bit more personable, or I can like ask a more in-depth question that's going to lead to something a little bit further down the line. But I don't think
right,
like but if I didn't take the opportunity when I started out doing this stuff, I don't think I would have made the same like collective choices to get to the finish line. And I
yep,
think that's like what I realize with the musicians and why I like connect a lot with them is that like they a lot of people use the same sort of reasoning where they're like I have to really like be devoted to this or like to the point where either I'm listening to my stuff or I'm practicing my stuff an insane amount of times because I need to live up to this like standard that I set for myself, right? And I think
hmm
that that's such an encourageable thing that I would hope that everybody kind of lives by that standard of saying like I want to keep doing better because I know that I can be a better guitar player. I can be a better vocalist. I can be a better bass player. I can be a better drummer.
performance is a range. And so when people talk about, I mean, if you want to take sports for example,
Yeah.
and you want to take like the reason why fighters beat certain fighters, teams beat certain teams, blah 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 blah, and there's upsets. The upset happens when the best is like plays within this realm of things, and the second best plays within this realm of things, and it just so happened that on that day, the best played here, and the
The
worst
second
team played
best
here.
is better,
And
yeah.
so performance is a range, and so when you have like the higher you can raise that range of performance, dude, I will be the first to say this is like I'm a better singer now than I've ever been in my entire life. Obviously, because I'm working on it and I'm putting the
Agreed.
time in.
Yeah.
And like I was just in the studio last week, and we knocked out my vocals in no fucking time at all. And I heard it back, and I said, "Yo, that's the
That's
fucking one.
sick.
This
Yeah.
sounds sick." And Andy loves it, and he's having a great time. The thing is, 6 months ago, I put on the worst performance I've ever put on a stage. We played a show in Orlando or some shit, and I can't even say it was tech. I mean, there were some technical difficulties, but everybody runs through that. Everybody runs through it. It's whatever. Anybody that was at that show, I swear, would walk away from that going, "That's the worst musician I've ever seen on a stage." And I felt that, like, whenever I was up there, I was like, "I'm fucking up." Like,
Something's happening. Yeah.
I'm like I'm playing guitar poorly, I'm singing poorly, and it's like performances arranged. And that day, I was at the fucking bottom. I
Yeah.
was at the fucking bottom. I know I'm capable of like performing up here. That day I was there. So when you have that understanding, you can walk away from that and go, "Yeah, I'm disappointed. Yeah, I wanted to give a good show. Yeah, I didn't want to sound like that." But if I had the expectation that I sound like this every day would be miserable
Oh, for
because you're
sure.
only going
Yeah.
to sound like that some days. You're only going to perform that well some days. Um, so that's my thing on that. And additionally, on the why I do it, I talked actually we that same set, and I'm going to reference these because this was we've been our like I say we our sorrows has been inactive, like not inactive, but like we haven't been doing anything for like the better part of like a year or two.
Okay. Yeah.
Like we have a new song coming out next Friday. We have an album coming out, the whole deal. But like we were at like this lull period for a while, and so I'm going to reference this tour because it was the Alice Santa tour as well 2 years ago. The first half was with Palisades,
Oh,
and
nice.
I had a fucking beautiful conversation with Matt Marshall about it, where we're just bullshitting with each other and we're just talking about writing music together and just hanging out and blah 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 blah. And um, that's the first thing I thought of whenever you asked me this question. That's why I say it's multifaceted because
Sure. Yeah.
there's my how I view writing things and what I do after, and then
Of
like
course.
why I write is because I grew up in a bubble and I grew up depressed, and I love my family, and my family is such like now at this stage in life is such a wonderful thing, such a wonderful ecosystem
Sure.
with my brother and his wife and his kids and my parents. Um, we get along really really well, and like my parents, it's no fault of them. They're boomers, and mental illness wasn't real. And my dad pours concrete, and my mom is like basically an office manager for him. And so me being depressed, I was being lazy. Me having ADHD, I was ignoring things. You know, like it was like all these things and all these little things that build up where you go like, I'm so like it's like this. It's so hard for me. Like it's this hard for you guys too. And then finding out that that's not the case, whatever. But what I'm getting at is when I had this feeling of total isolation and the people closest to me didn't understand me. And I keep in mind, I just have to say, I live in a bubble.
Yeah.
Don't really have friends. The only people I really know are my parents who don't know what mental illness is and my brother who's not emotionally available. And then I'm listening to fucking Linkin Park
Oh.
in the car, and I'm listening to fucking Crawling or like, and I remember having this thought, he's just like me. And I remember hearing those words and reading those lyrics and going, this guy feels what I feel. And if I never, and I mean, and to be clear, this isn't the first time I felt it. I mean, Nothing Else Matters from Metallica is another one.
Oh, that's another great. Yeah.
Unforgiven from Metallica
Mm.
is another one. And um, there's so many good bands that it was those lines, it was those songs that made me, in my time of not being understood and being isolated, some dude I'd never fucking met that felt something that I felt too was this validation. It was just this ultimate validation of I am not, even if I'm an anomaly, there's others that are too.
Yeah. 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 If you felt a comfort that there was other people that were like you. I
Yeah.
1000% resonate
And
with that.
that and in that vein of things, with the why, I feel like it's my job that, dude, if I die with however many fucking songs I've written and even less that I've published, and nobody, like one or two people listen to them, and it helps either fucking one of them, then I did my fucking job. And that's how I view it, because like my life, it's the "your music saved me" meme.
Yeah. It's
But it really
ironic, but
is,
it's true.
really is that, because it's like, dude, like, um, I wouldn't be here
Same.
without that.
Same. Yep.
And I genuinely look at it as, if there's a kid out there that needs to hear that, there's so many ways for them to hear it already. And that's my self-doubt moment whenever I want to quit. And I go, yeah, but like everybody's doing that for them. Like there's so many avenues for them to hear that for them. But then I think about how particular I am as a fan, and I think about how little music I actually like as a fan. And I go, but what about the one kid that's like me, and that these people aren't saying it the way that they need to hear it?
They didn't hear it from you.
Yeah. And that's not to say that everybody needs to do. I would love it if everybody heard it from me. You know what
Sure.
I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, like
Yeah, that'd
I'm
be
not gonna
great.
say no. I'm not gonna say no to success.
Yeah,
But
I got you.
but
Same.
at the end of the day, success for me is like if it's one fucking fan, and I genuinely mean that. So
For sure. I no,
that's my full circle answer.
that was a masterclass right here. No, I find a lot of solace in what you said about like what you were mentioning about Chester, right? Like I huge Linkin Park fan as well. Um, but I feel like as someone who doesn't have ADHD, I when I try to relate to my friends that have ADHD or, you know, some sort of other thing that separates them from other people, right? Like I talked about it multiple times on here. I'm adopted. So like I find that my separation lies when people are like I didn't fit in with anybody, right? Like I look at people and I'm like I don't look like anybody. I'm like too much like I'm too much of a white kid, but I'm like not Asian enough for Asian people, you know what I mean? So like I
Yep.
felt in this like bubble, right? And so like I know you kept referencing that and that's obviously a part of your life, but I kind of felt the same way for like a long period of my life. And it wasn't more as of like the past like maybe 5 years or something like that where I had told my parents like I've felt like shit for like my entirety of like my teenage and like high school and even into like a little bit of college, which college was luckily like a godsend for me because like that's when I met other people from other walks of life and you know they really opened my eyes to like the scene and like they didn't like that's like what I tell this story all the time but it's so true though but like the scene welcomed me in ways that I feel like I can't fully express or understand and I love that because that's why I do this and why I feel like you know, I don't owe anybody an obligation to have these groups on, right? Or bands on. But I
Right.
feel like I owe an obligation to somebody that loves music as much as I do and sees me and they're like, oh my God, I look like this dude that I'm seeing on YouTube. That's fucking sick.
Yep.
I want to do exactly what he does. Or like, whatever. Like, or maybe they might be like, this guy's adopted. Like, I'm also adopted. I've like that's awesome. Like, that's so cool. He felt like this community with someone else that he's never met before, but like has
Yep.
so much of a similar background. And I think that's like the truest, like, that's a truest form of love that I think that I can't fully express to people when people are like, "Oh, I don't understand the lyrics. You don't what? I don't understand this person screaming in my ear." It's just like it's a catharticness, and I think it's the camaraderie of being cathartic that people like you could look at someone else and be like, I know exactly what you're feeling because like I feel the
Yep.
same thing. Like
Yep.
that's like the compliment that I think I can argue to anybody that hasn't listened to metal and just doesn't understand it. It's like these people are like ostracized and like outcasted. Like we are in the like fucking like desert out in the middle of nowhere, you know what I mean? But
Yep.
like we all love each other, we all accept each other for who we are and like that's why I will
Yep.
continue to die on the metal hill that I live on, you know, because I
Yep.
know how important it is to me and I feel like I want to be able to share that importantness to other people because it's meant a lot to me personally.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful because it is that. You know, it is the metal. There's just a world of when you grow up in that isolation and that, like you said, ostracized is a great word of that, where it's like in the same thing of like, you know, you show up to school and people are listening to the songs that like don't hit you. You don't feel
Yeah,
anything from
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You know, you're they're singing songs and they're all loving it, and you're like,
I don't get it. I don't
I
get
don't
it.
get this.
Yeah.
And then you hear that. I mean, it's there's a whole generation that when they heard Architects for the first time, they
Oh,
went, "Oh, I feel something." You know
something
what
to
I
the
mean?
chest, something to the chest
Like
here. Yeah.
yeah, they're like that's moving something,
Yeah.
and then they can go to a show, and they go, "Oh,
I get it
that
now.
moves you too." We don't know each other,
But
but
now we're best friends.
that
Yeah.
um so uh I actually, when I was younger, that was one of the connections I made. So, just going back in time, Manic Cry the Captain, that first like band that did okay for me, like just years and years ago, the electronic metal band. Our first show was with My Children, My Bride,
Oh,
right when they released Headshot and all that stuff, right?
let's go.
The promoter for that show, I met at a red jumpsuit show a year prior, and I randomly met him because Your Guardian Angel, that song that makes everybody fucking cry.
Yeah.
I'm like just watching, and I'm watching Ronnie fucking crush this because Ronnie's just a monster of a singer.
Shout outs, yeah.
And I'm just like just bawling my eyes out, and then all of a sudden I feel an arm wrap around me, and it's just some dude, and he's reached his arm out. I grab him, and then I'm like, there's a person next to me, and I grab them, and then I look, and this line is like
It's
this
just the
house of
people
blues
grabbing,
Orlando.
yeah.
It's just everybody and just everybody singing and
Oh, that's
rocking back and
amazing.
forth,
Oh,
and it's just that moment of like, we're all here, and like that's not metal. It was red jumpsuit, but what ended up happening is that now this guy, he's a promoter in fucking like Savannah, Georgia, and like some of the other Florida the other Florida spots. End up making this friendship and this connection with somebody that like, hey, I'm in a metal band. Oh yeah, I book metal bands. You were at
that's
a red
sick.
jumpsuit show? Yeah. Why were you at a red jumpsuit show? Oh, because they're fucking sick. Oh
Yeah.
hell yeah. You know what I mean? And then it's like, and so, but then like you create those friendships, and then you're just seeing it's like, I remember when he said, hey man, I have like My Church, My Bride coming through. If you guys are gonna be ready to play a show, I'll let you open it. I said, yup, let's fucking go. And then like we played it, and it was just this whole thing of like just seeing those moments kind of come to fruition, and those people become friends, like strangers become friends and friends become family, and that's such like a cliche lame type
But it's
thing,
so
but I
true
really
though.
feel like as I get older, cliches exist for a reason, and they
Correct.
exist because it's a generic way of saying a repeating thing or something that happens more often than not. And so that cliche part of that is I really do feel that way with like the metal community and just the underground music community as a
Oh, for
whole,
sure. Yeah.
where there's this camaraderie and this friendship, and just when you can say a band name that it's like, yeah, like not everybody listens to this, but like so few people listen to this band, and then somebody comes rolling up on
They're
you,
like,
and
what?
you're
You
like,
listen to this band? That's so
like,
sick.
yeah, and you're going, what? Like,
Where
let's
did you
fucking
come
go. There's
from?
just
Yeah.
there's something about that that is just
Yeah.
that I don't know if there's a way to beat that feeling, you know?
There's not. Yeah. I've met so many people, like coworkers and old coworkers, new coworkers, stuff like that, where like I'll be playing metal and they'll be like, oh, I just saw them like last week. And I'm like, bro, I was also at the show. And they're like, what? And I was just like, that's so sick. Oh my God. Who else do you like? And then they're like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my God, I love this band, this band. Oh, that band's sick, blah, blah, blah. And then it's just like this real shout out to my boy Steve. I love Steve. I don't know if he's gonna watch this, but he's the man.
And we love Steve. All my
Shout out
homies love
Steve.
Steve.
We all love Steve. But that was a good, wholesome thing to end off on. But Kyle, I feel like I gotta leave the floor to you, of course. Tell the people where they can find 125 and Our Sorrows if you want to give them a salute, and let them know down below what you guys got
If
coming up.
I gotta talk about that band, I guess
If I have
will.
to, you don't have to.
No,
You talk about whatever you
no.
want, Kyle.
No, so 125, my solo project, you can find it. I generally just give the link tree. It's just linktree/IM 125. There's also I'm mainly on Instagram for that, but even then, you'll see it all down there. I don't even gotta talk about it. Our Sorrows, the metalcore band I'm in, is that also gonna be down there? Are we putting that down there too? Let's go. You can find Our Sorrows, oursorrows.com.
Woo.
We're doing some stuff this year I'm very excited about, and obviously my main thing for being here is the 125 stuff.
Yeah,
I
125 is
I genuinely hope like you guys will check that out. It means a lot to me. It's especially stepping into the realm of playing in bands my whole life to now being the only member is it's a
big
big
shoes to fill.
jump. It's a scary jump, and it's one where you don't realize what even as simple as like other members just having like their friends do things, and they, you know what I mean, like you have those moments with other band members where they're going, oh yeah, no, I know that guy, I'll talk to that guy. When you're by yourself, it's a lot of like, damn, we're really out here in the desert by ourselves on this one. So would genuinely appreciate anybody checking it out. This has been incredible. You are a great interviewer.
Oh, thank you. I try,
Um,
try to
um,
make it real personable, So please listen, if you have spent the last like 2-ish hours with us, I feel like you deserve to go check out 125. Like you are obligated. This is the time you are physically, mentally obligated to go check out 125 and Our Sorrows. I'll leave links to both down below. Please go show them some love. Both groups. I'm really stoked to check out Our Sorrows as well because I had no idea Kyle was in a metalcore band, and you I love metalcore music. Come on, I ain't kidding around. You already know that. So go check them out. As well as that, I feel like I got to plug something that I haven't done in quite yet, but I have a new merch store, which you can check the links below. I just uploaded a bunch of new merch. If you want to go give that some love and pick up something, you don't feel obligated that you have to, but it would be really sick if you could. So please go do it. As well as that, if you like this interview, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I am like eerily close to 3,000 subscribers, which is awesome. So like if you could push me to 3K, really stretch goal is 5K, but I don't know if I know
I'm on it right
2,000 more
now.
people. So like, if you can give me a 5K, I think I'll cry again, which is often, but like I'll actually cry for a reason on top of extra reasons that I would normally cry for. But this would be like a happy cry. So if you want to make that happen, that'd be really sick. Again, I want to give a shout out to Nikki, Renovaire, Jordan, Picturesque, my homie, and obviously
Thank you
Pat,
guys.
Idobi. He's the man. Shout out to Pat,
Mm.
the GOAT. And obviously the man of the hour, Kyle. Big salutes to Kyle of 125 for coming on. I thought you were going to say goodbye.